Three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Was not going to do a live this evening. That's why you see me in my nice and warm Sherpa robe. I was going to take my ass to bed, but news travels at the speed of light. And I don't know if it's even going that fast today. I mean, it's just that with the Trump administration, it's just literally so much in rotation constantly. But when we talk about folks making interesting statements, I got one that I want you folks to hear. Let me make sure my Wi-Fi is on for my TikTok audience. But I want to run this from by you. Now, personally, I can understand if anybody thinks that this individual is quote unquote full of shit, but he is highly respected. Many of you folks know of Kellyanne Conway, the orchestrator of the very successful campaign for President Trump in 2016. Many of you are aware of who Karl Rove is. He is the architect of the George W. Bush campaign in 2000 and 2004. Bush was elected twice. So before Kellyanne Conway, before Karl Rove, you had James Carville here, pictured on the right, maybe the left, depending on which platform you're watching me on. But on my screen there, the older gentleman wearing glasses, that is James Carville. He made a statement that is literally circulating throughout social media, throughout the cable news outlets. Everybody from Fox to CNN, News Nation, they're all playing this. And I want to run it by you folks, get your opinion on it. If you've been watching some of the news wires, you may have already seen this. As I said, some of you are going to view this guy as being full of shit. We'll leave it at that. But I do want to play this. I see the comments already. Paz is saying that Carville is a whack job. Well, he is the one that got Bill Clinton elected twice. So he is highly respected in the industry, whack job or not. So I do want you to hear a clip. This is a short clip from James Carville that has gotten the entire internet and cable news outlets afire today.
Analogy I use is Pickett is 500 yards from the stone wall. Hold your fire. It's going to be easy pickings here in 6 weeks. Just lay back.
So you literally think 30 days to 6 weeks, the Trump administration is effectively going to collapse in terms of public support?
Well, it's collapsing right now. We're in the midst of a collapse. This is the lowest approval, not even close, that any president has ever had at a comparable time. Again, that's a provable fact.
Now, I'm not on the Carville train to suggest that in 30 days, the Trump administration is going to collapse. I'm not going to say something crazy like that. But I'm playing Carville because his political knowledge is highly respected. Now, I get some folks are saying, like one of my viewers said he's a whack job, things like that. Look, this guy is highly respected. He's been all over the news networks, the news wires today, making this statement. And they don't think he's a whack job. They're putting him on TV for a reason. Now, there is a bit of sensationalism to him saying some shit like this. I don't deny that. But he is the one that put together a successful presidential campaign for Bill Clinton and helped him win twice. That's why I brought up Karl Rove and Kellyanne Conway. He essentially were them before they were them. So he is very well respected. Now, is he getting this wrong? Perhaps. Because he also thought Kamala Harris was going to win by quite a bit. So he's not always perfect. But then again, what person in politics is? I mean, hell, I've made bad predictions. I'm sure you have. Trump has said things that are not right. I mean, everybody does. So no one is going to be perfect in this. But I do want to get your opinion because while I don't necessarily buy into the administration is going to collapse, There is no shortage of town hall meetings all over the country that are starting to become volatile. So when he says they're going to collapse in 30 days, he's kind of indicating that people are getting fed up with the Trump administration and they're going to start pushing back. And I'm here to suggest that the poll numbers, while they don't say or define what Carville is saying, they do indicate that for President Trump, things are not as strong as they were even a week or two ago.
House new polling shows he may be losing some of the voter enthusiasm he started off with a few weeks ago. Approval ratings from Gallup and Quinnipiac showing Trump dropping a few points with an even steeper fall on Ipsos. A new CNN poll shows 52% of Americans disapprove of Trump's performance so far, something no other president has experienced at the start of their term in office. But it is important to point out this is still better than at any point in Trump's first 4 years in the White House during his first term. Joining us now to discuss the...
Okay, and then they discuss it, but now I'm going to tell you right off the bat before we get into the program, that came from CNN, so I know how my viewers... my beloved MAGA, I know what they think of CNN, but if you notice on the screen, CNN reported it, but those are numbers from Gallup, Quinnipiac, and Ipsos. Now, Rasmussen is another poll that's out there, and it's known to lean right, and notice that Rasmussen is not on the screen here, but they do have Gallup, Quinnipiac, and Ipsos, and in Ipsos, he's down 13 points. How does that relate to his campaign? We're going to talk about that. Now, personally, for me, I've looked up, because I did a video on this earlier, and I've been meaning to update and edit and put it on YouTube, but he's not just polling low for the sake of polling low. There is a reason behind it. Obviously, Elon Musk is a big reason behind it, because nobody expected Trump to come in there and just start firing people. So the Elon Musk wing of the Trump administration is part of why his polls are dipping. That letter that he just sent out demanding that folks give 5 things they did to keep their jobs. They're trying, while the administration is backtracking from that, Elon Musk just sent another letter out about an hour ago. So he updated it and he basically said, you need to take this seriously. So Elon is kind of starting to part ways with some other members of the Republican administration. A lot of Republicans. Trump, it gave a real cryptic statement on it. So he's not parting ways with Elon, but he's not definitively backing that letter, because that's what people are questioning. You're going to send this letter. Now, keep in mind, because this is going to branch into our second topic, in addition to whether his poll numbers are going down. I'm also going to ask in regards to 2 federal employees, Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. When Elon sent out that letter demanding all federal employees respond with 5 things they have done over the last week, or it's going to be viewed as a resignation, 2 members of Trump's administration, federal employees themselves, told their staffers not to respond. That is Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. So one of the questions we're going to be asking tonight is, what they did is basically insubordination. Elon's at the top. He's the head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. He sent out a letter demanding all federal employees respond. Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard told folks not to. I'm going to ask you one simple question. Should they be terminated? What they did is clear-cut insubordination of what Elon Musk requested. Should Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel face some kind of disciplinary action up to including termination? Now, I see in the comments, Spliffer Shine says Peter Exef was involved in that as well. So that's clear insubordination. So should they face some disciplinary action up to and including termination? I want to hear that from you folks. And if not, I sure would like to know the hell why not, because they are indeed federal employees themselves. So if you want the federal employee system to be held accountable, how does Hexef, Gabbard, and Patel get to skip? So I want to hear from you folks. Also, in addition to all of that, I want to just ask a simple question. is Elon Musk, in your opinion, going to maintain a good standing with President Trump? Because like I said, these city hall meetings or these town hall meetings are not going well. In fairly stable Republican areas, people are getting pissed off because Elon is just on a cutting spree. The whole chainsaw might have looked great on stage, but those are people's lives you're cutting apart. And a lot of them are MAGA. A lot of them are Trump supporters. So that is what we're going to talk about this evening. As always, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. You know what I say. We are MAGA friendly. Been that way since day one. Always will be. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program. You know how I say we are about free speech here. So you can be critical of anybody in the comment section up to and including the host. We go left of Bernie Sanders all the way to I'm having dinner with Q. So everybody gets to speak on the program. So looking in the comments, send the email in a .gov. What does that mean there, Alicia? I don't quite get that. Generally, those people are blue people from red areas. You know, that's what people are trying to say is that the folks that are showing up in these town hall meetings that are pissed off, they're somehow Democrats, or as you're saying in the comments, they're a nice guy, or Jordan rather. Jordan is saying that the folks you see at these town hall meetings are all Democrats that came in from they're blue, they're Democrats, and they're showing up at these Republican town halls. I don't know if I'm certain of that. I don't know about that. And I'll tell you this, it probably is not a good idea to just dismiss them that way. Because if some of these folks turn out to really, truly be MAGA Trump supporters and you're calling them liberals, that's just a further insult. If MAGA or Trump supporters are unhappy, address that as opposed to trying to convince people, well, he's not really a Trump supporter. I don't buy that all of these folks are liberals showing up all over the country, but I'll pass that in the comments. What say you folks? So looking in the comments, please, sir, what is your zodiac sign? It's irrelevant. Irrelevant. My zodiac sign has nothing to do with the program. It's time to make everybody be accountable for their positions. If you are working and you are not doing your job, stop milking the check and take care of business because you in six figures. Well, that's not every federal employee doesn't make six figures. I can tell you that right off the bat. But I'm asking that question. How many of you folks think that what Elon Musk with that letter, how many of you folks think that's a good idea? Hold them accountable to the point if they don't respond to an email, they have to they're considered a resignation, which is firing them on the spot. Lewis, good evening.
Hey, what's going on, Tim?
Not much at all. Not much
Tim,
at all.
There is no way that Democrats are running all over the country, going into red country. I'm telling you something. I live in a very conservative state. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you something, I do go to town hall meetings in my area, and I live here. But when those red hats show up, ain't no Democrats in there, brother.
Yeah.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
To me, that sounds like suggesting that Black Lives Matter was there on January 6th. Like they ain't coming and getting involved in this. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think many Democrats are showing up to a Republican town hall to do that.
But here's the thing, Tim. You're kind of giving away. You're kind of helping them, Tim. Let them keep thinking that those are Democrats. I mean, let them keep saying that. Let them keep thinking that. I'm telling you something. These are disgruntled. I had a client tonight, mm-hmm. and he's a conservative. He is so fed up that in his front yard right now he has "F you Trump."
Damn.
In front of it, he went. I mean, and this is a guy, he showed me where he had a whole stack of stuff laying over on his floor in his house with Trump 24, Trump, he voted for him in both times, you know what I'm saying? So he's very disappointed. And the reason he's disappointed because his daughter actually got laid off from one of those agencies in D.C.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying?
So he essentially voted for the termination of his own kid.
And you know what the funny thing about it? She did too. That's what he told me. She did too.
I don't want to laugh at somebody's misery, but there are a lot of folks that are like, I don't have any sympathy. If you voted for him and he does something to harm you after we've been telling you it's going to happen, it is kind of is what it is.
Tim, in the military, that's what we call getting hit by friendly fire.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you, that's what you call getting hit by friendly fire. And there's no way that you're going to say that you know who. I mean, there's no way you can lay off government agencies and think that when you're in D.C., though, you've been in D.C., Tim?
Yeah, plenty of times.
D.C. is D.C. because it's dark country. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Explain that.
You can't expect just because there's so many black people down there that they're all Republicans or Democrats.
Okay, fair enough.
Because a lot of them that work in those offices for those Republican senators are Republicans too.
Yeah.
Even though they may be black, there's a lot of Republicans. A lot of my friends, I have a lot of people that I served in the military with that I didn't know the whole time I served with them for 20-some years that they were Republican or Democrats. Because now kids are a lot more liberal than what we were.
Right.
But we just didn't play the politics games when I was in the military. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't as liberal. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have all that social media that these kids have access to. And personally, I really didn't want to have a political opinion about the commander-in-chief, somebody who could send me to get my butt shot off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't want to dislike my commander-in-chief. So I didn't really play the politics game when I was in. Even when I became a senior.
Well, nowadays, I mean, obviously with the LGBTQ community, and I mean, he's firing people for DEI and things like that. It's heavily political at this point because he's doing. I mean, Trump himself is making all these big moves.
Man, there's guys that's on airplanes getting ready to jump out of an airplane doing TikTok videos in the military. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
You know,
wow.
really?
It should that be? That's got to be. Seems like that would be against the code or against standard to do that.
Oh, it is. I'm sure when their commanders do see it, they definitely get reprimanded for it. I'm sure. But these young kids are not as dedicated or care about that kind of stuff anymore. Yeah. And you know why they don't care? Because the military doesn't care about them. Wow. The military doesn't want these guys to come in and make a career out of it. Tim, I retired in '97. They've been paying me longer in the for my military retirement than what I was in. So they don't want you I retired at 39 years old, Tim, with 21 years. Okay, so you retired with 21 years and you've been receiving payment for almost 30 years almost. 27 years? You got it. Yeah. 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 But that's what they're doing in the public. They're trying to. I guess they're trying to pattern that after the public sector because that's what the public sector did stop doing. Like my grandma retired from Campbell's Soup, and she retired in the '80s, and she didn't die till like 2006. She too was similar to you, where she collected a pension almost longer than she worked, and she worked like 30-some years. So the private sector has already solved that. Huh? The worst thing could ever happen was when companies went from pensions to 401ks. Yeah, I agree 100%. It seemed nice when you first get it, when you know that they tell you, we're going to put this $80,000 over here and we're going to match it, everything you put in here until you retire, up to 12%, or up to whatever percent, you know what I'm saying? Well, the problem, I tell you. But after all those. Yeah, the problem is, first of all, when they started 401ks, there was no law passed that required them to put a certain percentage in there or anything at all. Because as the years have went on, you're starting to have companies out there now that'll tell you we don't contribute any company match. Or I've actually seen some companies say we don't even have a 401k, but here's a pamphlet. You can call them and they'll manage it for you. In other words, we ain't got nothing to do with it. We ain't contributing nothing. Here's a bank you can call. You can put some money in there yourself, and good luck. That's where we've went. So the way it started, it's a lot worse than that too. And the thing about it, now what they've done is they've taken away that security from government jobs. Your government job used to be like, once you got onto a military base and you got a government job or got in a state job, you was set for life. Mm. It take an act of Congress for them to fire you. And that's what, I've talked to a hell of a lot of Trump supporters, Republicans, and MAGA on the program that say stuff like,
the accountability. You shouldn't get a bunch of money. You shouldn't be on the dole forever. You should have term limits in regards to Congress and things like that. And I've been saying that if you really cut everything you can out of a government job or out of a or out of if you take away the proceeds that a politician can make, nobody's going to want to do it. You're going to get crappy people.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, I've been saying
And
that.
what people don't understand is these people who usually end up in those positions, especially like a senator or a congressman or something like that, those people they're the cream of the creme from their community.
Right.
Most of them are lawyers, doctors, and you're gonna tell me that you want these people to go up here and serve for you for all these terms and make $174,000?
They don't even want to pay them that. They don't even want to pay them that. I've heard people come in the program and say they should get health care just like we do. And you don't have the type of stress. Ain't nobody trying to kill you. I mean, like these people walk up and shoot congressmen.
If you're a state representative and you're in DC, you got to have two households. You got to have a household in your state where you live at, and you got to have an office and a place where you stay at in DC.
Yeah. I've heard some of them sleeping in their offices.
Or you going back and forth like Biden did every day because you live in Delaware, and you're going to end up being the poorest man. You're going to end up being the poorest man in Congress, just like he was, because you're not going to be able to join those committees. You're not going to be able to join all those extra things that get you, or go out to those universities like George Washington University and give those speeches late at night and get that extra money.
Yeah.
These guys are not doing anything crooked. They're really being watched.
I'll tell you something.
There's a lot of ways for them. There's a lot of ways for them to earn extra money.
Yeah, there's only so low you can pay people before you start encouraging corruption. I mean, if somebody's starving, like damn, I mean, he told me if I pass this bill or if I agree on this bill, he would give me a $20,000 kickback. You paying me so low, I was about to become evicted. I mean, when you start paying people real low, you encourage. Same thing with police departments. There's only so low you can pay a cop before you start promoting them to be corrupt. And I'm with you that if you expect the best and brightest to serve this country, you need to pay them better.
And let me tell you something, Tim. Why do you think our K through 12 sucks so bad?
Well, we don't seem to care about K through 12 as much in terms of education, in terms of funding for education.
We don't care. It's that we don't care. We don't pay our teachers shit.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, somebody who goes off and get a 4-year degree or a master's degree, and you tell me if they went out and start working, they're going to make $40-some thousand a year?
Yeah. I think it's just an anti-civil service mentality we have in this country, whether it's, like I said, cops, military. If you're in civil service, you don't make a lot of money. I mean, that's just what it is. It is what it is. We don't pay our civil. Like when I used to live in Australia, I used to hang out in some of the bars when the GIs would come in town because all of the chicks would swell up there. And that was one of the things I used to hear from the Australian military personnel. They was like, man, you guys don't pay your soldiers and people nothing. Like, I've been in the Australian military. I'd have guys say, look, I've been in the military over here for, X amount of years. We haven't went and fought any wars. And we still get treated better than you guys who often stay at war. Like, we're not going to combat zones very much. We pretty much act like a National Guardsman would in the United States. We protect the border of our country, and most of the stuff we do is like natural disasters and stuff like that. Meanwhile, if you're in active duty in the military in the United States, you're going to hostile territories constantly. And it's like you don't get paid anywhere near like what we get paid.
And that's why me being a veteran and a retired military guy myself, I'm gonna tell you something. I never felt unappreciated when I was in, but I didn't. Once I got out, I did. I seen the difference when I looked and seen how much people were making in the civilian community compared to what I was making, in the military doing the same job and at the same time getting pew-pewed at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I was 18 Delta. You can look that up and figure out what that is. I was always in the mud, if you know what I'm saying.
Ooh.
And I'm telling you now that I had to do what nurses do, but at the same time, like I said, ducking my head down, you know what I'm saying? and so that's why I say when you compare it like that, get me wrong. I only had to do it for 21 years, and they're gonna take care of
Only?
it.
Only?
Yeah, only 21 years. Only 21 years. But my thing is, nurses do, but you got to figure, most nurses now even still got to work till they're in their 60s.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just the thing is the way jobs of all types in this country pay has just been continuing to go down. Some would say that, the wealth divide is getting greater and greater. But what about Trump? You think Trump's going to fix it? You think he's going to make it better for folks in the military?
I would tell you, I don't think Trump has no. Now I am biased. Let's be real, but I don't think what Trump is doing is such a bad thing. And it takes a lot for me to say that. But what I say, I just think he has the wrong person doing it.
What do you mean, Elon?
Elon shouldn't be doing it. Elon, this is like letting the fox in the hen house. You follow what I'm saying? You're going to tell this guy who gets more subsidies and has more contracts and is under investigation for his shady stuff with the government to go in and clean house in the government. Well, how does that make any sense, man?
That's a great point.
We have 2 lawsuits against him and with Tesla and X. The federal government has 2 lawsuits against him.
He ain't fired the people that's over there yet?
Oh my God! He's trying.
Because I originally heard he had I heard he was dealing with 9 investigations at one point.
What they're going to do is they're going to make Cash Patel make that disappear.
Yeah, that's what I'm because I heard he had 9 investigations going on. I do got to move it on, Lewis, but yeah, I heard he had 9, and he's already fired a host of people. So yeah, I think that all of those things will eventually go away.
Oh, definitely. That's the whole plan. Think about this, though, Tim. We have always had oligarchs in our country, going all the way back to the Howard Hughes, which was the richest man in the world at the time when he was living. We've always had oligarchs. We've always had the Vanderbilts. We've always had the Guggenheims. We've always had these people. But you know what they did with their wealth? They put it back into the United States and to poor people. They built museums. They built roads. They built streets. They built airplanes. They built stuff to make America great.
You said Elon ain't gonna do that?
These people are Elon just loading his pockets up, man. Let's be for real. Come on, man. He donated $5 billion to his own foundation.
Well, the money got to go somewhere at the end. So, I mean, eventually it's got to trickle down.
But do you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, though. That's like giving yourself.
I get it. Wow, I did not know that.
Giving the money to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
I've been saying that from day one when people say, well, Elon can't be bought off. He got all the money in the world. He don't need no more money. I'm like, he sure ain't acting like a guy who don't need more money.
It's bullshit. And my thing is most of his money is in stocks and bonds and whatever. But he doesn't have most of those guys don't put nobody has $500 billion in cash. So most of it's in stocks and bonds and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Hey, Tim, thanks for letting me up, man. I appreciate you. But just this, it's hard for me to say it, man. I swear to God it is. We gotta watch we just gotta watch where this ball falls.
Shit, we ain't got no choice. I mean, pretty much he's in there, ain't shit you can do about it.
Tim, only thing I'm gonna say is prepare yourself.
All right, Lewis. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for your service, by the way. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Always a pleasure. Thank you. Look in the comments again. Elon can always be bought off, says Renee. Who the hell can buy him off? But yeah, I don't submit to the theory that Elon must, because he's the wealthiest man in the world, he can't be bought off. I mean, he's got all sorts of business ventures going on. So he's not acting like somebody who's not trying to make more money. He's not known to be very charitable. So we can talk about the size of his bank account, but it's clear he's trying to increase it. So if you're trying to make more money, then yeah, there's a potential for you being bought off. Looking in the comments real quick, and by the way, tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 15,000, if you will, to help out the algorithm. You know how it works. Forever Jesus personal assistant. I don't know what that means. But looking in the comments, I wouldn't. No, I'm not in Australia right now, Ty Saunders. No, I used to live there though. No, I'm not. I've been back in the U.S. for quite a while now. I would instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. And that's Psalms 32:8, says Anita. Let me know the relevance it is. I'd like to know. He's looking at naked pictures of Musk. Oh my God. Anyway, continuing on the program. Do you think Musk might end up being on the wrong side of Trump? Do you think those two are going to ride off into the sunset together? They both come across very similar. They're both alpha males. Obviously, they're both used to wealth. They like to exaggerate and brag. There's a lot of similarities between those two. A lot of similarities between those two. So do you think that they're going to maintain a friendly relationship? Because if one person says something about the other one that's out of pocket, both individuals are known to respond in the harshest of manner. Trump don't take no shit. So if you say something about Trump, you're guaranteed to get a response. The whole James Carville clip I just played. Trump attacked James Carville for saying that already. So we know Trump is not going to let you say shit and get away with it on him. But Elon Musk is the same way. Wasn't he the one that told Steve Bannon to fuck himself in the face? So if for some reason Trump and Elon Musk have a falling out, biggest box of popcorn you can get your hands on. Biggest box of popcorn you can get your hands on. Because they both have a social media outlet and literally unlimited ammunition. They can both sit there and fire as many rounds at each other as they want. Elon can get on X and just go at it. And Trump can do the same thing through Truth Social or any network that'll put him on. And I guarantee you, if Elon has a falling out with Trump, MSNBC and CNN, all of them gonna be like, "You're welcome to come here anytime you want to." So I can't imagine a political fight, a political spat being more encompassing Trump versus Elon. That would probably be like literally the Thriller in Manila. That would probably be the biggest political fight you've ever seen because neither one of them are going to give up. Neither one of them are. Trump may, I'm speculating here. I may be wrong. I'm speculating. But Trump may try to use some of the mechanisms of government against Elon. And of course, Elon has infinite wealth. And he's already made it clear that if you fuck with him, he'll use money to get you. So it could be very interesting if those two end up falling out. But maybe they'll remain friends. What say you? So looking in the comments, Elon has dirt on Trump since Top Dog. I don't know. Everybody says people have dirt on Trump. They said Putin has dirt on Trump. You always hear that, but it ain't coming out. And I'll tell you this before I go to the next caller. The love and adoration for Trump is so strong and great, particularly from his supporters, that I don't think having dirt on Trump is really much of a weapon. If you support Trump, particularly if you're MAGA, what the hell is somebody going to say about Trump that's going to make MAGA stray away from Trump? So you can have whatever you want to have on it. It ain't going to mean, what did the guy say in the middle of Fifth Avenue? So you got some dirt. So what? And so what? He pissed on a couple chicks. People do that. That's locker room stuff. I mean, it don't matter what you come up with. It ain't going to matter. So moving on with the program, white on white crime. Is that what we're looking at, Alicia? All right, moving on with the program, going to the box. Mike, good evening, Mike. Welcome to the program. Do you think Elon and Trump, Mike, you think Elon and Trump is going to ride off into the sunset? It's worthy of asking because
Hell no.
You think they may break up?
Oh, it's going to happen. But listen, before we dive into it, again, it's 149 people in here. Tap the screen, share the live.
Thank you.
Tap the screen, share the live. Let's get Tim up to about 30,000. It's 147 people in here. If you tap it for about 100 times a piece, that's 15,000 right there. We can get the brother up there. He's speaking manganese tonight. He got a James Evans robe on tonight. Got to show him a little.
Oh my God.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right. So back to it. No, it's all gonna crash, Tim.
Really?
All of it. Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
I like asking a question. Where do you see a soft landing in it all?
What do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying. Where do I see myself landing? Mike dropped out. We'll give it a moment. Don't know what happened there. I'd be curious to know what he was talking about. We'll try it again. Where do I see myself landing in this? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Go ahead.
Where do you see? Okay, so for example, if they have a falling out, one of them is going to. If they don't implode and eat each other,
Ooh.
the one thing Elon can go. Elon can pick his bags up and go. Trump can't go anywhere.
True.
So they're doing so much dirt, it can't end well, right?
No, that's not true. What do you say cannot end well?
Look at what they're doing collectively, right? Think about this. Think about this. He's going to work in Doge, although the course blocks some more stuff today. He's doing work over here. He's doing work over there. But at some point in time, there's going to be a power move similar to when Elon was in the office standing up over him, because that was a power play, right? That was a power position.
I get what you're saying, how it looked. I'm not for certain it was, but it does look like Elon doesn't seem to think that Trump has control over him. But we're speculating. We don't know that for certain.
No, okay, yeah, we don't. We also weren't in the room when Stormy was there, but we know what happened. So.
Well, he said that didn't happen either, though.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just, listen, too much going on for it to all end well. Trump likes to point fingers, right?
Always, yeah.
You said it earlier. Tulsi Gabbard,
Cash Patel.
Yeah. All of them are expendable. Every last one of them are expendable.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. He'll turn on them. He cannot turn on Elon like that. It's not the same.
I need for the folks, for the viewing audience at home, I need you to explain why he cannot turn on Elon like he could on anybody else. Why are you saying that?
Because he won't get the same result.
Elaborate.
He won't get the same result. Elon's not just going to turn and go away.
It's a great answer.
You just said it. He's matter of fact. Not only does he have his own platform, he is light years ahead of, because he can move and do this, Tim. He doesn't have to stay.
But let me ask you, I agree with that. He can literally be anywhere in the world anytime he wants. But let me ask you this. If for some reason Elon and Trump had a falling out, where does MAGA fall on this? Where does Trump supporters? You think that Elon could pull some devoted MAGA away from Trump?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. What it's happening already, it's just not in the name of him pulling them away that way. He's losing MAGA by the things they're doing right now. He's losing MAGA because there are Republicans and MAGAs out there that are being hurt by all of these executive orders and all these moves. So that's happening already, right?
There's no denying that everybody that's being hurt by the firings and some of their policies and legislation is not liberals. Yeah, there's definitely some Trump supporters and MAGA being hurt by this stuff. Yeah.
Elon could come out publicly on his own platform and spill the beans on a lot of stuff. What would Trump do? What would his supporter do? He got too much money, man. This ain't Cash Patel. This is not Cash Patel. Those people that have done that in the past, Tim, he's got too much money. He can move too many places. He's influenced too many other countries far beyond Trump's pocketbook. I'm telling you.
I don't know. Well, because you got to understand, look at what we did to the oligarchs once we had a negative view of Russia. We froze a ton of their assets. If Elon does something Trump doesn't like, we still have the ability to freeze a lot of that money. I mean, we can actually take his money. I mean, you're talking about Trump here. So, that's the first thing Trump does when you fuck with him, is he hits you in the pocketbook. No federal funding. I mean, that's the first thing he does. So he can freeze a lot of Elon's assets.
Hey, check this out. See, you don't think Elon knows that? You don't think all this quote unquote access that Elon has and is getting, that Elon, listen, Tim, listen. These are big boy games that they play.
Yeah, these are real big boy games.
These are big boy games, and he ain't freezing Elon's Bank of America account. You know what I'm He's not, and he knows that. That man got money everywhere.
Yeah. I don't doubt that, but
You know,
it's just the way we're strategizing. It shows how big of a conflict it could be if those two go against each other. I mean, it would
yeah, I
literally
mean,
be the biggest political fight we've ever seen.
well, you don't think that he's talking? He can talk directly to the same world leaders Trump can talk to, and he's already doing it. He was talking to Putin during the election.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not like he's not talking. It's not like he doesn't have money to move the needle elsewhere. He has enough money to give other countries money.
Then let me ask you the elephant question in the room that we're talking around, but probably needs to be asked. If he has enough money to do all the shit you're talking about all over this globe, does he have enough money to change our outlook on who can run this country? Does he have enough money to buy his way into the presidency?
I don't think. Well, that's a tough one.
Everybody can be bought.
You know, I feel the same way. Everybody can be bought. And here's the thing. We're about to find out. I can't say yes. I can't say no. But we're about to find out because democracy's on the line. Because if that's going to happen, it's going to happen over the next.
Okay, let me divide the country up. Let's start with MAGA. If he starts doing every damn thing that MAGA favors, putting money in our pockets, lowering the price of eggs and all that other bullshit, just doing every damn thing right, and gets an endorsement from Trump 2028 going forward, does he have at least MAGA suggesting we change the rules and let him run?
Yes, but you got to understand, MAGA would suggest a pink elephant with a red bow tie on if Trump said so. Come on, Tim.
I don't know about that.
Well, listen. Listen. All jokes aside, you've said they're not leaving him no matter what. They roll with him no matter what he says.
True.
We said that. Yeah. So it doesn't matter who. Like when he said no to J.D. Vance, J.D. Vance is out of there. Matter of fact, where is J.D. Vance?
He's probably hanging out somewhere chilling, dreaming of 2036 or something like that.
As soon as he said that about J.D. Vance, we all knew it was a wrap for J.D.
Yeah.
So yeah, he could say that about Elon, and some of MAGA would move. But the problem is what they're doing right now. The problem is when you stand up against the United Nations and side with Russia, like they did today in the UN resolutions, that's a bad look. That's a bad look globally.
Yeah, from what I hear, now Germany just had their elections. The far right guys that Elon Musk was telling they should stop being guilty for the Holocaust and all, they didn't win, but a conservative did win, and apparently that conservative that is now the head of Germany came out and said the United States does not care about Europe, and we need to start protecting ourselves. So, I mean, that's the Germans.
Yeah, I don't know. I see Billy Buckeye in the. I don't know what he's talking about. That's not true because I'm literally looking at BBC right now. The U.S. has twice sided with Russia in votes at the UN to mark the 3rd anniversary of the Russian invasion.
Oh my God! I don't listen. If people out there are still trying to say that under Trump the U.S. is not siding with Russia, you're just being a troll at this point. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, the guy was asked if Putin is a dictator. And he went into some kind of spiel blaming Ukraine. He's blaming Ukraine for the war. I mean, look, yeah, he's absolutely siding with Russia. That's not even up for debate at this point.
No, it's not. But here's the thing, Tim. Go back to his first term when the U.S. intelligence agency told him that Russia had interfered, and he asked Putin, and then he says, "I have no reason not to believe him." After you remember that?
Yeah.
Right. So,
he even said it during the Super Bowl interview I played on the show. It's been a while, but during the I think 2017 Super Bowl, he was being interviewed by Bill O'Reilly, and he asked him, about siding with Putin, and he told him, this guy's a tyrant, this guy's a dictator, and Trump responded and said, we've done some pretty bad shit ourselves. So he's always been real soft on Putin. He's always been that way.
Always been that way. And so when people want to act like, but see, this is the reason why I said anything's possible with the way the MAGA supporters and the people and the loyalists he's putting in place, right? Because the U.S. Attorney Martin just came out today. I know you heard about that, where he said we're Trump's attorneys.
Yeah, that's exactly what Bill Barr, Attorney General Barr, was saying during Trump's first time, is that he wanted me to be his personal attorney as opposed to the attorney for the country. I mean, that's all. That's the loyalty play. That's what he wants. That's the loyalty.
That's what he wants. That's what he's doing. So when people want to say, no, this is not true, and this, I'm like, just pay attention. It's not like you got to go read, go look. He said it before. Bill Barr said it before.
Yeah.
I mean, his former cabinet said everything that we're seeing today. They've been warning us about this, right?
Wow.
All of them that were in his cabinets that testified said he was this person. They called him a fascist person, right?
No, we didn't believe him though. Let me ask you this before I do move on. Did you hear about what James Carville came out with and said?
Yeah, I heard it yesterday, but I didn't hear Trump's response.
Well, you know, I should have had his response queued up because I made a video about it. But he basically said the guy's a loser and the Democrats are wrong for letting this guy be the leader and things like that. Which Jim Carville, whatever his name is, James Carville, he's not the leader of the Democratic Party. But Trump was trying to say that he's a loser, and him being the lead of the Democrat Party shows that the whole damn party is a loser or something of that nature. But he's talking about Trump's administration is liable to collapse in 30 days. How do you respond to that?
Hey, well, we've been talking about this. We talked about it after the president. I said March. I said by the end of March. Do you remember?
Whoa. What's going to happen by the end of March?
I told you after the election, I said I'll give it to the end of March before this thing all kind of blows up. You don't remember me telling you that?
I think I remember something, but give me your explanation of what blows up involves.
If these judges uphold the law and the Constitution, just on that level, the judges say you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. Do you think he's going to just say, okay, well, the court said I can't, or you think he's going to keep moving?
I guess at that point it depends on what they ruled against him on. Like birthright citizenship is one. If they tell him he cannot, ban birthright citizenship, how does he stop that? Now he's not trying to do it retroactively. So if you already have been born in this country to an undocumented parent or a mother in this case, I don't think he's trying to go back. I think it's going forward. So if he's told that that's in the 14th Amendment and you can't violate that without an act of Congress, I don't know. How can he, what does he do? He still instructs hospitals? I don't know how he could keep doing it.
Because he's already telling them to keep moving. When they put the freeze on the aid and the judge said you can't do that.
Yeah. He violated that. Right.
So how many times is that going to happen before it becomes a point of no return where the courts are going to have to say something and do something, and then what's going to happen?
Well, you got to keep in mind, first of all, when you talk about the courts having to do something, who's ultimately in control of the courts? I mean, if the courts want to enforce something against Trump, let's say criminally or whatever the case may be, he's in control of the Department of Justice. He can make stuff go away. So I think that for the most part, a large portion of the court is probably afraid to really do anything to really enforce any kind of meat and potatoes behind anything they say.
So then the democracy as we know it will be done.
You said it, I didn't. I got to move it on. You the last one. Go ahead.
Well, think about what you just said. If either the courts disregard the law and do what he says, or they uphold the law and either he's going to continue to do what he's going to do, and then what's going to happen? The rubber has to meet the road somewhere, Tim. You just can't just go, oh, well, I guess it just is what it is.
For me, the point it started to get to what you're talking about is the minute Congress just sat back and idly let him write any kind of executive order he wanted to. The fact that they're just letting them do that, knowing it's their job to, a lot of the stuff he's doing, it's really their job to do it. Like, for instance, if he cancels the penny, which everybody's in favor of canceling the penny, it's a waste of money to make a copper penny. But Congress is supposed to be able to do, is supposed to do that. You can't, he doesn't have the power by executive order to cancel the penny. But if Congress is going to sit back and just let them do it, to me, that's what you're talking about. It started when Congress just said, you get full power to do whatever you want and we're not going to interrupt.
Well, no. Well, okay. If you write an executive order and it gets contested, that's not Congress, right? That's where it goes to the courts, and that's where it is now. What were they going to do? What were they going to do? If he wrote all these executive orders, they can't tell him to do anything. They voted for him. But again, he wrote all those executive orders. Now they're at the courts. If the courts push back, some of them soft-ass motherfuckers that voted for him will go, well, the courts have spoken, right? That's what they're going to do.
Good luck
exactly
with that.
What they're gonna do.
Good luck with that. I think Congress is. Last question. I guess since we're talking about Congress, do you think these outraged citizens at many of these town halls all over the country, in front of Republican politicians, do you think that'll make any of them change their stance and maybe push back a little bit on Trump?
Yep, I do.
You think so?
I do. I don't know if. Yeah, I do. I don't know if it'll be a lot. But it won't take a lot, right? They only got a 2-seat lead. Do I think that there will be one or two to move based on? Yeah, I do. I don't know which ones, but I do, because if they stay the course, Tim, they won't be there in 2 years.
Most likely, the ones that will be are the ones that are some of the ones that are going to be in the next midterms. The ones who are on the closest to the ones that are the closest to the chopping block. But I got to move it on, Mike. We'll see. I'm not totally with you on it because Trump has such a stronghold. But I would say logic should have you being correct. But it's a lot of things that are going on that look illogical. Appreciate it.
It is, but people losing their jobs and not being able to get services and a lot of things they're doing it's not going to end well. It's not going to keep. I mean, you're already hearing a lot of people that are regretting their votes. Some people aren't moving. Period. They love the racism. They love the misogyny. They love all of that stuff. But there are a subset of people like, what the hell did we just do? And it is happening. And all you need is to get to one or two in Congress to think that way. And it'll slow it down. They're still going to try to move on this stuff, Tim.
All right, let's see. Appreciate it. Thank you. And I will say this, that regardless of how the Trump administration turns out, let's say it turns out as bad as my last caller was suggesting. If you're part of Congress or you're part of the Senate, you go down in history as idly standing by and letting that happen. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, you will be part of that administration if it's as bad as what he's saying. If it's great, like Elon Musk is cutting waste, and all of a sudden they can brag over the next 4 years that they saved America $1 trillion or more, whatever the case may be, then you're part of that too. You're part of the good. So it depends on how it goes. But right now, it does appear as if Congress is going to idly sit by and let Trump do whatever he must, whether they agree with it or not. So we'll see. Looking in the comments, you're right, Paul. It is all speculation. That's what we do here. And you are indeed invited to do that as well. That's what political conversation is about. Nobody actually knows exactly what's going to happen. It's speculation. I mean, that's what will be done throughout the Biden administration. You speculate. You don't know exactly. So we'll talk about it, though. Looking in the comments, though, God is my strength. I got a reverend in the comments. Even Trump had a larger majority in 2017, but will he be able to maintain that is what we're talking about. This is something that is also making the wires. Because on my last caller, before I go back to the box, and thank some of you folks that are tapping the screen, get me on up to 30,000 maybe to make that happen. Once again, in regards to things that are making the news wires, making its rounds all over cable news outlets and social media, Joe Rogan is among that as well, in addition to James Carville. Now, Joe Rogan is taking on Trump's claim, and Elon, because it started, I believe, with Elon, and Trump started echoing it, that people 150 years of age are receiving Social Security payments. He takes that on, Joe Rogan does.
Yeah, and that people are receiving Social Security that are 150 years old. But I don't think that is the reality as it's being explained by people who understand COBOL, the language and this computer programming language that they use is ancient, right? Which is kind of crazy that they're still using that, right?
It's the government. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
So some guy who understands it was explaining that if certain factors aren't taken into consideration or certain things aren't entered in, like date of birth or when there's certain things
Or date of death. Or,
right. But it doesn't even necessarily mean that all these people are receiving checks.
Right. They're just listed on the files.
Right.
And it doesn't mean money's going out to them. And so, yeah, again, from a messaging perspective, does Elon need to screenshot that and then send it out as a tweet or whatever we'll call X nowadays, and then suddenly you've got a couple million people going, oh my God, we're paying dead people. Well,
right. That's the problem with being hyperbolic. I'm going to send this to you, Jamie.
And he's making it clear that even he is saying, Big Dog, appreciate the hat mustache. Yeah, thank you for the support. He's making it clear that even Rogan is even saying, this is not true. What they're talking about, these people 150 years of age receiving Social Security payments. It is the programming language known as COBOL, COBOL, an older programming language. And there are default dates of birth that go along with the program. And I think it's 1875 is the default, 150 years ago. And that default has been applied to tons of folks, and they're automatically assuming that these people are receiving Social Security payments. Now, the crazy thing is, with Elon Musk and his tech knowledge and all his tech bros, they would have known that. It's hard to imagine they didn't know that. My humble opinion is they expected you not to know that, and that they could just say this and get away with it. But Joe Rogan is the latest and greatest. One of the folks that, for the most part, he is on Trump's side. He's not a Kamala Harris supporter. So for him to say it, he's not doing it out of sheer hatred or Russia type hatred for Trump. But he's not the only one that's been saying this. I'm just tossing him out there because I think he's a little bit more credible, particularly with MAGA. He's a little bit more credible. But he's not, by far, not the only person saying that 150-year-old list of people receiving Social Security payments is not based on fact. It's not reality. Looking in the comments, though, lucky you are allowed to your opinion. Yeah, isn't that how it works? I'm lucky? I don't know where that comes in from. But anyhow, looking in the comments before we move the program on, the Honorable Will G says MAGA ain't shit. Says, I don't believe this MAGA outrage in the Republican districts yelling at their congressmen. This is what they voted for. I disagree. Thank you for the support, Will. I disagree that this is what they're voting. These are the people they voted for. But there are several areas where Trump has went and done things that people never voted for. I don't think anyone that supported Trump thought he was going to do the mass amount of firings that are taking place in the federal government. They expected him to shrink government and make it more efficient. That's what the whole Department of Government Efficiency was all about. But they didn't expect people to be getting fired the way they are. It's not being done from a standpoint of efficiency. It's just being, in my opinion, certainly with this letter going out where you got to name 5 things you've done by Saturday or you're getting fired. To me, knowing that Elon Musk is, he doesn't know what every government employee does. You could be tech support, you could be answering phone calls, you could be responsible for repairing computers, you could be doing any damn thing. So when you respond with the 5 things you've done, he don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He doesn't know all these different jobs and all the parameters of them. So it's pretty clear his goal is not to make sure you're being responsible. He's actually paying more attention to who he can fire. He's literally looking for people to terminate because he doesn't know what you put down. If you get on there and you tell him, well, my job was to, I'm the one who put in new flooring in the hallway, or I ran, Cat 3 cable. Some of the things you would respond with, he wouldn't know what the hell you're talking about. There's all sorts of different levels of the federal government. Maybe you're putting in car parts on some of the vehicles. You could say shit he would not know anything about what you're talking about. So it's clear that he is not really interested in the 5 items you put down. He's looking for the people that don't respond so he can fire them. It's literally just, let's see how many people we can net with this new method of finding folks to fire. That's all he's doing. And I'll tell you this, because I get a lot of my beloved MAGA saying, look, you work for the federal government, you're receiving tax dollars, your ass should be accountable. If you're not answering emails, then you need to be fired. Here's the crazy thing. You've been working at your job for 10 years. You've had great performance reviews. You mean you deserve to be fired because you didn't answer one fucking email? This isn't an email that is going to cost the country or your department thousands of dollars or millions of dollars because you should have answered it. This is essentially just a drill. This is of no importance at all what he's sending out. This is simply just a drill. So you're going to tell me somebody who's been working at this place for 5, 10, 15 years deserve to lose their job because they didn't answer this one fucking email? Come on now. The only purpose of this is to find people to fire. That's all it is. That is the only thing he's doing is he's fired a bunch of people and he's trying to come up with new methods to give more justification to fire more people. That's all it is. He don't give a damn what you put down in terms of those 5 things. He don't care nothing about that. You think he's going to read thousands and thousands of emails from all the federal employees? You think he's really going to read that shit? You got a better chance of writing to Santa Claus than having him read that shit. He's not going to read any of that. Just tell me who didn't respond. That's all I want to know. I don't give a fuck who responded. Tell me all the employees that didn't respond. Give me that list. That's all he wants. He's looking for reasons to fire people. Going back to the box, you are not up to speed, says Joshua. Well, Joshua, you got a lot more room to type more than that. I appreciate your input. You can be critical of the host. If you believe I'm not up to speed, feel free to elaborate. Let me know what I'm missing. Miss Mo Betta, good evening. Welcome to the program. That's what I'm hearing. Now, Miss Mo Betta, let me ask you, if you receive that shit, would you respond to that?
Absolutely not. No, because it didn't just start with that. They were sending letters out to people before that letter went out today. They were sending them talking about they had bad reviews. And some of these people never even had a review. Yep. They said, we've been here XYZ. I've never had a review. How did a letter all of a sudden come up and say that I had a bad review? So, like, now to go back to those numbers as to why Trump's numbers are going down, Elon is the problem. He is the reason, because number one, when he won the presidency, he only won by like 1.9% or something. Now, how many? It's 300 and something million people in America. 70 something voted for him, and 60 something maybe for.
It's about 71 for Kamala, I think 75 or so for Trump. Yeah.
Right. So you look at the people who didn't get out and vote. So now what's happening is the people that actually voted for him, when they fucked around and found out that the shit that he was doing was going to affect them as well, now they're jumping ship as well. They're like, listen, we didn't sign up for this. You told us you was going to lower egg prices and groceries and, the stuff that he ran on, he's doing the total opposite.
Yeah.
But like my late grandmother used to say, when your friend becomes your foe, all your secrets the world will know. And that means Elon has this man by the string. He got Trump in a wedgie right now. You know what I'm saying? First of all, he helped him pay his bills up here in New York. When he had owed all that money and shit, he bought himself a position.
Did Elon get involved in it, like the Letitia James lawsuit and E. Jean Carroll? He had to put a bond down. Elon did that.
Yeah, he got that money from Elon. Nobody else wanted to give him none. So Elon, why do you think he's so bold in standing in the Oval Office? With your son putting boogers all over everything. Because he paid for that position.
Wow.
Now, for them they keep saying, oh, Trump won. If it wasn't for Elon, his ass would not have won. He would not have won. Elon and them went down there in Pennsylvania and he fixed those machines. He fixed it to where it would favor Trump. Let's not be fools about this shit.
I did hear the conversation. I think it was Mike or one of the viewers had me listen to the email. I'm not for sure Elon fixed the machines, but what he stated sounds like an admission of guilt.
Trump said it out of his own mouth. He does well with those machines. Like, listen, if you don't believe a duck quacks when he walks or something, you're a goddamn fool.
Well, I'll say this, even though I'm trying to get Trump and Elon the benefit of the doubt, I know if Kamala and Biden were talking like that, the right would have been all over it, because it does sound like he is admitting guilt.
They would have been on their ass like white on rice, Tim.
Yeah.
So now you got Elon all over the place causing all this mayhem and havoc and stuff, and you don't even really hear from Trump right now. Everything you're hearing is from Elon.
So what are we saying? We have President Elon?
Absolutely. Trump is the vice president, and what's that boy named Vance? He the babysitter. He watching that little.
And then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he's.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned Vance. I've been trying my ass off. I mean, Elon, bro. I've been trying my ass because I got my photos back there. It was time for Kamala Harris to come down for obvious reasons. I can't get a photo of Elon. Is he got warrants or something? It's hard to find a good photo of Elon.
Elon's all over the place trying to set his stuff up, because like I told you before, you might not remember, I said he's gonna set Trump ass up. He's gonna set him up. And like Mike was saying before, Elon could pick up and just go. Trump ain't even allowed in about 37 to 38 countries because he's a felon.
Yeah.
He's not even allowed to go to a lot of these places. Elon could go. Who knows what Elon is talking into these meetings that he's going without Trump? Who knows what he's saying?
So to some degree, if what you were saying and what my last caller is saying is true, you almost make Elon to be some kind of pseudo traitor to the United States almost. I mean, you don't like you. They don't like you. They don't like you.
Somebody done reported me, but it's all good.
They don't like you. But yeah,
all good, but
go ahead.
you could drop me because I don't want to get your live banned.
You good.
You know what I'm
good.
saying? So all you haters, scratch and sniff.
All right, Miss Mobetta. Appreciate you coming through. All right. Sometimes, listen, sometimes folks get on here, whether they're left or right, if they get passionate if they get passionate with their opinions, folks in the comment section start, basically swatting them. I've had it happen to MAGA. I've had it happen to liberals. So I've had it happen to me, damn it. So it does happen. They don't like hearing the truth, says Carla. Truth shall set you free unless you don't want to be. She's the sister of conspiracy, brother, says Thomas Latham. Like I said, I go left of Bernie Sanders till I'm having dinner with Q. I've had folks come on the program and tell me that Hillary Clinton was executed by Trump. So you tell about sister of conspiracy. I get some pretty strong shit come through the program. We love you. It's just Kamala that was an idiot. I don't think Kamala Harris is an idiot by any means at all. Just like when I get viewers on the show that say Trump is not a good businessman, and I say the same thing. I don't agree with that either. You don't get to their levels by being an idiot or being bad in business. You just don't. I mean, how many Americans ever are going to be vice president, are going to be a U.S. senator, is going to be a district attorney, an attorney general of an entire state? Kamala Harris is not an idiot. And there's no damn way in hell you're going to get me to believe that a sex act got her all of that, all of those accolades. There's just no fucking way I'm gonna believe that. You wouldn't want me to say that about Melania Trump, and I actually do kind of believe it about her. But she won several elected positions, several of them. All of those positions, attorney general, district attorney, U.S. senator, vice president was the only one where she actually had to get elected there too, because Biden had to win. So she's had several positions that the people decided this is the one we want. Even losing to Trump, 71 million people voted for her. So she's not an idiot. She's not. You just don't like her politics. I get it. You don't have to like her politics, but she's not an idiot. Just like I say, I don't think Trump is a bad businessman. You don't get the kind of wealth he has had by being bad at business. Real quick in the comments, Will G says, we've been telling them this whole time, they chose not to believe it. end of the day, MAGA is two-faced. They may be booing now, but they will go back to voting for the same clown like nothing ever happened. I don't know, because I ask this question on the program all the time. If they had an election today, do you think Trump would still win? If they had an election today, right now, knowing what the first 5 weeks of Trump administration has been like, Kamala Harris still remaining an unknown factor, do you think that Kamala Harris could beat President Trump? I'd be curious to know your answer. Look, going back to the box, though, I see Steve says you lost your mind. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, it's not a stretch to hear folks saying that there are unhappy MAGA. Make no mistake about it. Everybody that Elon Musk is firing are not liberals. I also will submit this to you. When he's firing admirals, the head of the Coast Guard, he just fired, a 4-star general? There are conservatives in the military that are looking at that like that's wrong. This man got 40 years, that 4-star general, and you fire this dude, calling him a DEI hire, suggesting that he doesn't have merit after putting in 40 years, and you were the one who gave him the last star, gave him the job or whatever. That you got conservatives in the military, true blue patriots, that are like, that ain't right. That is not the way to treat that man at the end of his career, is to suggest he is some kind of DEI hire and just replace him with some kind of white dude. So I don't know. I don't know about all of it, but in regards, before I go back to my next caller, this is what my last caller was talking about in regards to the suggestion that Trump was indicating that Elon Musk altered the voting machines on his behalf.
Journey to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So thank you to Elon.
Why would he be praising Elon for knowing vote counting
and
computers?
Then he journeyed.
Why would he be praising him for, what does Elon Musk knowing about vote counting computers have to do with him winning? It almost does, and I'm not going to say Trump did anything wrong or Elon did anything wrong, but it does sound like he is, to some degree, admitting that something happened. And I'm going to say what I told my last caller. If this shit was happening in reverse, where you had Biden thanking Kamala Harris for doing exactly this, the right would be saying they fixed the count. I mean, because it does sound like he's admitting that something took place. Going back to the box, top dog, good evening, welcome to the program. Do you think there's anything nefarious happening here that he's talking about?
Well, shit, Tim. Good. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
I'm the one that put you on that video. So
that was you. Okay, I thought it was Mike. Okay, it was you.
It was me. Yeah. About within a week ago. Yeah, he told himself right there, Tim. Like I said, I ain't got no hardcore evidence, but Trump told something right there, and I believe somebody's looking into that shit. We might not be talking about it on the...
You ain't got no access to it with Trump in power. And real quick before we continue, Paul, you're saying, so Trump is saying what, Tim? I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds like why would he be thanking Elon Musk for knowing so much about voting machines? Elon Musk is not even supposed to be dealing with the machines. It does sound like he's making it sound like Elon Musk may have had access to some voting machines and did something. That's what I'm saying. Is what he said sounds suspicious as hell. And I thank you, Top Dog, for putting me on this, because I hadn't heard it.
Well, I mean, Tim, we there's nothing else we can make. We can't cover that up. We can't justify and say, well, he was talking about this. He said everything we need to hear right there, Tim.
I'm not 100% sure nothing happened, but
okay, what else could he be talking about?
And that's the problem. I'm not 100% sure he did any kind of cheating or whatever. But yeah, when you hear a statement like that, the obvious response is, then what the hell is he talking about? And I don't have an answer for that.
Well, it make me think this is what I think, Tim, make me think they did some type of cheating. You know, I can see Elon pulling some shit off like that. He got the money and the power to do it, Tim.
Well, not only that, but once Trump, and then didn't he also say something like if they didn't win, they would be going to jail?
Yeah, he said that too.
Yeah, Elon did say something like that as well. Like, if we don't win, we're going to be going to jail. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying he did anything, but there's no way in hell this would be happening on the right, and they would just ignore this. I mean, this stuff is coming out of their mouth. So, you know, TDS, whatever you want to call it, I'm pretty sure the right would take the right would be just as suspicious of this shit as the way we're talking about it.
I mean, of course the right, Tim, the right is suspicious about it. I mean, they're not going to admit it or come out with it, but they using, you know, common sense. They know that sound kind of flaky right there.
Yeah.
You know, he's talking about something, Tim. He's not just talking, throwing shit in the air. He's talking about something. Now, can we get down to what he's talking about? Maybe not. Like you said, he got control right now.
Ain't nobody going to admit it, and MAGA ain't heard shit. I mean, just like, you know, Steve Bannon and Elon Musk were just waving at the crowd, had nothing to do with 1930s Germany. MAGA ain't seen shit. So you're not going to get anything out of them. And I see they hating on you, man.
Well, Tim, it's still early. You know, only been 4 or 5 weeks. MAGA's gonna come on out. They seeing it. They just don't want to admit it. Nobody likes to admit when they were wrong, Tim.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to come out and say, you know what, I was wrong. You know, I got a buddy, Army buddy. We was together 20 years ago in Iraq and Afghanistan, Tim. And this past election, he voted for Trump, and his wife voted for Harris. And his wife, she's a probationary period right now up there at DOD, and he's scared as shit right now. He thinks she's gonna get laid off, and he voted for Trump. So, you know, he still won't admit that his vote was wrong yet.
Well, she ain't got fired yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly,
and that's the thing, is sometimes it's gotta hit home. It's gotta happen to you specifically before you may realize, like, man, maybe what I did wasn't in my best interest. But as long as it's happening to somebody else, hey, look, it's all about accountability. He's getting the spending under control. We need to do this. Until it starts to happen to you, then it's like, well, shit, maybe this is went too far.
Well, that's what happened with a lot of the gentleman you had on earlier said that he ran to somebody where he voted for Trump and his daughter voted for Trump. His daughter just got fired. Yeah, they wanted to go against Kamala so bad, Tim, where they were gonna take anything Trump was saying. Trump told him he's going to cut back on government. He told him he's going to do a deportation. They thought he was playing, or they thought like...
Yeah, but wait a minute. But wait a minute. And before we continue, and I see in the comments, for some loving says, fill my cup, thirsty for those liberal tears. So while we're discussing while you and I are crying these liberal tears, I will say this. When they heard Trump talk about cutting waste in government, it could have been, look, we got 12 aircraft carriers, maybe he's only going to have 11. We got, 400 fighter jets, maybe he's going to cut it down to 350 or something like that. They didn't expect him to start with human personnel. I mean, that's what he started with, is the people. And so they were in favor of shrinking government. I think most Americans are in favor of cutting waste. But he started at literally the most sensitive spot, which is the actual humans. I mean, he started with mankind. Like, there's all kinds of humane ways to do this. He went for literally the worst part of it, the people.
Well, Elon's trying to run the country like he ran X. He did the same thing to X when he took over X. Well, he came in and cut like 60% of the staff. So he's doing the same thing he's doing to X. He's doing it to the American government right now. Trump, what he did, he took his money, Tim, and bought himself into power, where he got just as much power. He don't look at Trump as his boss. He look at Trump more. This is like a partnership. What we doing right here. When Trump called him, Trump doesn't call him to get on to him. He's calling him. He talking to him like a friend. He don't talk to him like an employee.
Well, shit, if you gave me 400 mil, top dog, I would call you like a friend too. I mean, I understand that.
That's what he paid for right there with his 350. I'm not going to be an employee. I'm not working up under you. We pretty much got to do it like a partnership type shit.
But I don't want to bash Trump on that, because if you give a liberal enough money, they'll do the same shit. I mean, Nancy Pelosi was funding the Democratic Party from every way from sunrise. And I'm sure people viewed her like a friend. I mean, if you put enough money, because she funded a lot of Democratic congresswomen. And I'm sure that when they received a phone call from her, yeah, it's like a friend. I mean, and money
Tim,
talks.
I'm gonna tell you, like I tell my MAGA guy voted for MAGA. We're not talking about Nancy Pelosi. We're not talking about Kamala. We're talking about Trump and Elon.
Huh? And I see some folks don't like it. He said,
You know what I mean? We got to bring it back here. We don't care. We don't care about that no more. That's old. We talking about Trump and Elon and what they're doing to the government. And by the blue taking these jobs, Tim, that's gonna hurt Trump in 2026 and 2028 because the Democrats, we're gonna run on this. We're gonna harp on y'all losing y'all jobs. So,
but if at the end of the day Trump gets rid of a few thousand jobs, but can show that he saved the government $1 trillion or whatever the hell they're shooting for, I don't think you can run on it. But it ain't gonna be a winning ticket. I mean, at the end of the day,
yeah, we can, Tim. I'll tell you why. Now, if he end up giving
chaos.
money back if he gives money back to the American people, it's kind of hard to run on it. But just because you save $1 trillion in government and waste it, I don't care about that, Tim. That doesn't put food in my table. Gas is still high. Well, gas is low, but eggs is high and food price is still high. But you save $1 trillion over here, but I'm not feeling it. I don't care about that $1 trillion, Tim.
Yeah, I agree that for folks to really celebrate this stuff, they have to feel it directly. Just hearing about you saving a bunch of money, if I got to still work my 2 jobs and struggle, it doesn't have a lot of meaning. But when you got Elon on the team, you can give out some trinkets. I mean, let's say, for instance, they send out $2,000 in stimulus right before the election and tell the folks, things are going so well, we're going to give you, we can give folks $2,000 because we save so much money. And trust me, in our next term, indicating you need to vote us in again, in our next term, we're almost certain we'll be able to do it again. I think that would really count. And that's only $2,000. That's only $2,000.
By it coming out of Trump's and Elon's mouth, you got to show me everything you just said, Tim. I don't believe it. That sounds like a whole bunch of bullshit you just said. That we can say and give our American $2,000. They're not doing that, Tim. They're not going to do that. They're not giving out that's pretty much giving out what $2 or $3 trillion. We for to give out again.
If he saves $1 trillion or so by firing everybody and shrinking government, and his goal was to stay in power, fuck it, give that $1 trillion back to them, and these fuckers will vote me back in. And I'll just tell them I got to save more money, whatever the case may be. I think he could, look, $2,000 to everybody right before the election, if a couple months before the election, and make the promise. Now, you don't have to live up to the promise, but make the promise that we're so certain we're the best for this economy that after the election, we're almost certain we'll be able to negotiate the system, cut more spending, cut more waste, and give you an additional $2,000. I think it would have a large favorable effect for the Trump administration. Now, he is not supposed to run again, but whoever he's trying to put in as his successor.
Yeah, Tim, of course, if that happened and he can produce $2,000 to every American, hell yeah, that would help his campaign or who's ever next running the next campaign. But I just don't see that happening, Tim.
I don't know.
I just don't see it happening. I think Elon's what he's doing. He's getting back. This is what's crazy with Elon, Tim, throws me off. He's up here trying to save the government money, but he's getting $30-40 million in government contracts. $30 billion in government contracts. He's sucking the government dry, but then complaining about these other small agencies taking $2, $3, $4, $8 million.
And ain't nobody bitching about it. I gotta agree, it looks conflict of interest. Like, how can you be the head of a government organization?
We know it's conflict of interest. Let me tell you how bad it got, Tim. Trump is making a killing right now while he's back in office. The Trump Foundation, whatever you call it, Trump business, whatever, they're gonna make a killing right now. Nobody's gonna say nothing about those hotels. None of that shit.
But to be fair to Trump, every politician makes a killing while they're in power. If you're the governor of a state, they're all making a killing while they're governor. If you're the president, you expect the person to walk away broke?
No, I don't expect you to walk away broke. But damn, are you supposed to sign over to your kids and all that shit? He didn't do nothing at this time, Tim.
Well, but the thing about it is, unlike, no, you're right, he didn't do it, but he really didn't do it last time either. He kind of said he did it, but he was still running his business the last time as well. But you got to look at how he entered office. Like, unlike Obama, Trump was a big corporation when he entered the presidency. So naturally he's going to make more money than somebody like Obama because he got a whole lot more fishing rods in the lake. I mean, all of his hotels, people going to be staying at that. He got golf courses, he got resorts. I mean, all of that shit's going to be active because it's got his name on it.
I mean, that's true. I mean, that makes sense. I agree with that, Tim. You know, I mean, that makes sense. But like I said, I don't see how we got Elon up there and he's supposed to be cutting funding, but he's probably...
That's a huge conflict of it. Yeah, if you're going to tell me you're going to be making sure this agency is financially efficient while at the same time you're getting awarded contracts from it, and there's no way in hell I believe you're going to trim your own contracts. How many people from your places are getting fired? So, yeah, it's a conflict of interest. There's no denying that.
And then and things that he's cutting, Tim, it won't affect him. All the agency that he's cutting, it's not going to affect him, so he don't care about it.
Yeah. Well, that's
so that's why, a lot of MAGA, they finding out right now. You know what I mean? The ones in Alabama, with their electric bills and stuff like that. Yeah, they thought when Trump was up there bashed, they thought it was just going to be the minorities. It was just going to be the blacks or the Hispanics.
Oh, shit.
He getting everybody. He getting everybody.
Well...
And let me just say this, Tim, and it shows you how much Trump cares about his voters, because I'm intentionally firing my voters. That's crazy to me.
That is problematic. I think one of the Republican congressmen told him that. Like, these are your people you doing this to. So, but like I said, he doesn't have to run again. By law, Elon Musk can't run. So the two people that are doing it don't have to really worry about any future election. It's up to Congress and Senate to step up and say, hey, you're throwing us on the chopping block. And they seem to be a bit hesitant to do so. So you can't blame Trump and Elon. They're doing what's in their best interest, and they don't have to worry about that.
No. Elon, he's going around unchecked. He running around like he the damn president, Tim. No, you know what I look at this as, Tim? If you know anything about the mafia, I look at Trump as the mob boss and Elon as the consigliere. It's right hand. That's how I look at them two situations. And you ever look at any mob move, the consigliere he really don't have too much responsibilities. He do what the hell he want to do, and he sit back and ride the wave. That's what it look like to me. They run this shit like the mob, man.
That could be frightening at times. Top dog, appreciate you coming through. Thank you.
Said Tim.
Good talk. And I will agree with him on the mob boss thing. I've said that before, like with the Panama Canal and some of these other entities like Gaza, if he's talking about claiming Gaza. It is like a mob boss type relationship. I mean, because what are you going to do? You can't stop them. Lisa, appreciate the support. Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you. I mean, what can you do? If Trump wants to take over the Panama Canal, what can they do to stop him? I mean, there's nothing you can do. So if he goes, or if he does it with Greenland or any of these other countries. I've had callers come on here. I got a caller on that comes through the show that lives in Greenland. Had a caller on last night from Canada. Both of them stated that they're concerned in their nations that America may do things that threaten their sovereignty. Both Greenland and Canada. Because of what Trump is saying. So when folks say, well, he's just telling a joke, or, no, these people are taking that shit serious. They're taking it serious. Real quick in the comments before we move on. He already had those contracts. Well, yeah, I don't know. He had to, because what is he, Starlink? He had the Tesla deal with all of the trucks. But you're picking out stuff that is wasteful spending. And oddly enough, the contracts, as you say, you already had, none of them are wasteful at all. Huh? Do we really need several hundred Tesla trucks? Was that absolutely necessary? He didn't seem to think it was waste when he came on until they became known and it became so unpopular, he's finally backed out of it. But he don't seem to think any of his contracts are waste, whether he had them already or not. You're cutting shit, remember? You're going to say he already had those contracts. Well, these people already had those jobs, and he's cutting their jobs out, but he's going to keep his contracts? Real quick in the comments before we move on. Elon is providing a service that no one else can. Do you not want to rescue our astronauts? Yes. I can't argue with that for those, what is it, 2 or 3 of them up there? But that ain't got nothing to do with his Tesla contract. I mean, he got Starlink, ain't got nothing to do with it. There's more in that. But yeah, If he can rescue the astronauts, what you do is you give him a contract that only involves rescuing the astronauts. He's got all kinds of other shit going, and it goes way beyond just rescuing those astronauts. But thank you, Lisa, and Coach Jam for the subscription. Appreciate that. Wonder if it take you home, but we still be in love because I need it tonight. Will G, who has benefited from DEI? White women have been the biggest beneficiaries of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI programs in the workplace, though DEI programs benefit many groups. I've told you, in my opinion, DEI is almost like a dog whistle for black people. I know it can apply to LGBTQ, disabled, and women, but look, especially when I hear it from the right, first thing comes to mind is somebody black is out there that they talking about. Here's what I don't like. We've been hearing constantly that DEI is all about folks getting jobs that they do not have the merit to be in. Yet everybody you see that's getting fired has plenty of merit. If all of these folks are getting these gigs via DEI and they don't have the merit, why aren't you giving us the names of people and showing us folks who had jobs that they did not have the merit to have, or showing us the fuck ups that they did once they got in the job because they didn't know what the hell they were doing? Firing a 4-star general or whatever, how many stars he had, and saying that he was DEI, he had fucking merit. Same thing with the head of the Coast Guard. They had plenty of merit. In fact, some would suggest that the people that they're being replaced with has less merit than them. So the whole DEI equals less merit and you didn't earn a position, I'm not seeing that. You can get hired on because of DEI policies and have merit simultaneously. Being DEI doesn't automatically equate to not having merit. Let's say, for instance, you got a workplace and there's 100 folks working there. 95 of them are white. Well, I want to bring in 5 more employees, but I want to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's try to make sure these next 5 are not all white like we've been doing. That don't mean they don't have merit. Is it impossible to find somebody that has merit that isn't a white dude? Because that's what the indication is that if we get somebody via DEI, then they're not going to have merit. In other words, I can't find anybody that's a member of the LGBTQ community that's a female, that happens to be a person of color or disabled that has merit. The only people I can find with merit are white dudes. That's why I say, to me, there's something flaky about how they're saying DEI is, because you're seeing the people they're terminating and yelling DEI about these folks, and all of them have merit. And they're all being replaced with white dudes. All of them are. I think every person I've seen so far that got fired for being DEI and actually was replaced, he was replaced by a white dude. Literally, the actual reason DEI was created was because you're only hiring white dudes. That literally is why DEI and affirmative action was created. And now we're going to get rid of DEI, and it basically essentially replace everybody with another white dude. You tell me that ain't going backwards, I don't know what is. Dora Jam Bennett in the comments says, don't expect to be unproductive and keep your job. I agree with that, 100% agree with that. That's in regards to the email Elon sent out. But here's my pushback. Have you been perfect at your job? I'm talking to everybody watching. I know damn sure I haven't been perfect at my job. Have you never fucked up at least once? No matter how long you've been working there, I'm going to send you an email, and if you don't respond to this one email, you're fired. I don't care what the fuck you've done for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. If you don't respond to this one email, you're terminated. And we're okay with that. This email is not an email on how we can sign into some, sign in the contract, some deal worth $50 million that may be, make or break your department or something like that. Then I can understand you missed out on the biggest email our department has ever had. Unfortunately, I got to let you go. That would make sense. What Elon Musk is sending out is essentially a drill. It has no relevance for what you do, no relevance for your department or anything. He's just sending you an email, and if you don't respond to it, he's going to fire you. In fact, not responding to his email has zero to do with your productivity. Nothing to do at all. So the idea that you're going to use this as a reason to fire somebody that may have been on the job for years is insane. As I've stated early in the program, they are essentially just looking for a reason to fire people. Just creating reasons. Because there are so many different positions involved in the federal government that if you send the 5 things you've done this week, there's no way Elon is even going to understand them all. Everything from tech support to law enforcement to auto mechanics, he don't understand all that shit. So if you send him 5 things you've done, you think he's going to sit around and read thousands of emails? As I stated earlier, you got a better chance writing Santa Claus and having him read your letter than having Elon read all that shit. Elon is simply going to try to find out who did not respond to my letters. Okay, here's all the letters, here's all the emails that came in. You can scroll through them all. Here's everybody's response. And what he's going to say is, I need you to create a spreadsheet of who did not respond. I don't care about that. They responded, that's cool. Give me the spreadsheet of who didn't respond so I can start firing them. That's all he's looking for. He's looking for a reason to terminate. You don't care about the 5 things you put down. You could probably type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and actually make it to the success pile. Because he ain't looking for that. He's looking for the people who didn't respond. I fired so many people, I got to create a reason to continue firing people. So I'll come up with this bullshit. That's what I see. Looking in the comments before we move on. And yeah, but I agree, you should be productive to keep your job. But responding to that email has nothing to do with production or productivity. It's the oldest Trump trick in the book, sending people hush money. It'll work. It'll work. I do believe giving folks $2,000 or $3,000 right before an election would help out the Republican Party significantly. I do believe that, and I would not be surprised if they try to do it. Don't forget about 10% for the big guy, says Dorjam Bennett. Well, you got Trump in office now. Even though Hunter has been pardoned, if you truly think that Biden was corrupt and involved in Hunter Biden's corruption, you can still have an investigation and prove it. In fact, even though it will be a waste of money, what Biden has already pardoned his kid, I would almost favor it from a standpoint of, it would be cool for once to see Trump actually prove some of these wild things he says. For instance, he said that Obama wiretapped his office. Where's the proof? Nobody asked about that. He talked about Obama being born in a different country. Where's the proof? Nobody asked about that. Whether it's the election being stolen in 2020, where's the proof? He won by a landslide, I think he said. Where's the proof you won by a landslide? So if he was going to investigate Hunter Biden, I would actually be in favor of it. Just for once, prove some of this stuff you're saying. Haitian migrants eating cats and dogs. Where's the proof? Nobody asked. So I would just like to see him prove some of this stuff eventually. So if you can prove that what you said about Hunter Biden or any of these other folks, I would just like to see it. Because oftentimes he says something that's pretty damning about somebody, and that is the last you hear about it. In fact, once it becomes obvious that it's a lie, you often hear MAGA say, why are we still talking about that? Because they want to move on from it. Like the Haitian migrants. Every time I bring that up, why are we still talking about that? Well, because it was never proven. So you want to investigate Hunter Biden, go by all means. Finally, prove something you're saying actually happened. Here's one for you. The head of the Secret Service when Trump's ear took a shot. That is a good one. That is a good one. Now, if you want to terminate the head of the Secret Service that was overseeing security when Trump was almost assassinated, I'm not going to argue with that one. That is a good one. But at the same time, after being grazed in the ear, you standing up and yelling, fight, 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 and giving your assassin a perfect bullseye wasn't exactly responsible either. But if you want to fire the person that was over your security when you almost lost your life, that would be a legitimate termination. I'm okay with that one. Will G says black people are at the bottom of the DEI list under the disabled and veterans, indicating that they benefit least from DEI? Well, numbers might have something to do with that too, though, Will. I mean, there are far less black people than women, or white women, as you put it. There's a lot more white women than there are black people as a whole. I don't know about disabled and veterans. That should, so yeah, we shouldn't be at the bottom. We should not be at the bottom. Looking in the comments though, Tosi and Kash Patel had their workers not respond to Elon's email. Not very efficient of Doge. I'll go back to the box, but that was one of my original questions. Elon Musk sends out this email demanding that folks give them 5 itemized responses of what they've done to be productive. And then you got Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard telling their staffers, ignore the email. I'm going to ask you what I asked in the beginning of the program. Shouldn't Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard be terminated? That's clearly insubordination. Elon Musk is at the top of the pyramid. He demands everybody respond, or they consider it a resignation. How does Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel circumvent upper management and tell the folks don't respond to it? How do they not get disciplined or possibly terminated? Talking about Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel. And Pete Hegseth did it too. How do they get a pass for clearly violating what Elon did? By the way, about an hour before I came on air, Elon revised his statement and said, something like, if you don't take this seriously, indicating, yeah, this is a serious email. He sent it out again. He doubled down on it. So how does Kash Patel or Tulsi Gabbard telling people not to respond to Elon Musk's email, how do they skip over being held for insubordination? How do they not get held accountable for that? I'd like to hear from you folks. Looking in the comments, DEI was very bad for the country. I don't see any evidence of that, Paul. I've talked about that on a number of programs. If so many people are getting hired for jobs that do not have merit, give us some names. We've had, since affirmative action took place in the 1980s, I think affirmative action may have started as far back as Ronald Reagan. It's been around for a while. DEI has been around at least about 10 years or more. You should have a whole lot of people that you can demonstrate did not deserve to get this job and their performance sucks. You should be able to show how many aircraft have went down since 1980? Personal aircraft, commercial aircraft, business aircraft. It should be a whole lot of black, female, disabled pilots you can show. You should be able to show this. You should be able to show a whole lot of fucking up throughout corporate America from people getting jobs they didn't deserve and they didn't have merit. You should be able to show that. Notice how they're talking about DEI and the lack of merit, but they're not giving you any examples at all. Trump made the effort on the plane crash in D.C., and that went bottoms up pretty damn quick. But notice they're not providing you any real world examples of people that didn't have merit. They're firing some of the most meritorious people out there. People who got heaps of merit. So much merit that once they fire the person, they're putting in people that don't have anywhere near the merit of the person they let go. Head of the Coast Guard, the admiral they fired, the 4-star general, the African-American guy they just fired. The people that are replacing them got less merit than they do. So when you say DEI was bad for this country, I sure like to see some evidence of why you're saying that. I don't see anything. Give me some names. Give me some fuck-ups. Give me some actual fuck-ups that resulted from DEI. Otherwise, I don't see how it was bad. I don't see anybody getting harmed because of DEI. Other than the white guys that are saying, look, yeah, 80, 90% of us work here, but I'm fine with it being 100% white. So, 2 or 3 of us should have got hired that didn't. The other 98 got in, but I think 2 more of us could have got in if you didn't have this DEI shit. That's about the other thing I'm seeing. Show some actual evidence that people were harmed. Nobody's presenting that. You're just attacking DEI, but you're not showing any actual evidence of how it was harmful. FBI and CIA, you want them to write down what they did last week. And that's another problem, too, is that some of those folks would have to give you classified information. But like I said, it ain't like Elon Musk would even know everything that people respond with. Stick, the ruler. Good evening, Stick. Welcome to the program. They said 55 billion and only 6 billion. Yeah, and the numbers are not, like I said, with Elon Musk, all the information he's given has not even been accurate, which is another major issue, is that you're cutting waste, but a lot of things you're saying are turning out not to be true. The box is problematic. I'll give it a moment to reset, and I'll continue moving on with the program. But yeah, I don't believe that the CIA and all of them should be giving out information to Elon Musk, who knows nothing about it. One of the things I will also say is that, considering the nature of who's requesting this stuff, Elon Musk, I don't know what kind of guy Elon Musk is. He may be a true patriot, like Trump is saying, but there's a ton of room for this to go wrong. I mean, like my last callers, a couple of my callers have been saying, this guy could leave America and never come back pretty damn easy. And you're giving him full-on access to everything about our government and all of that. I mean, he has no allegiance to this country. He could easily leave and go to a country and, avoid extradition and all of that. How did this guy with citizenship from a couple other countries, Canada, South Africa, born and raised in South Africa, how could he come here and get this much power other than he just bought his way in? Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully he does what's right by this country, but I'm just simply saying there is plenty of room, considering the nature of how he started, for this to go wrong. There is plenty of room for that. Let's try to be intelligent, honey. Paul, while I'm giving your comments attention, I'm willing to read any comment. Like I said, you can be critical of me. I don't give a damn if you're critical of the host or anybody in the comment section, but you're not adding anything. Let's try not to be intelligent. That doesn't say any damn thing. You can elaborate on what the hell you're talking about. Where is the intelligence lacking? What point is not correct? Give me something better. We'll certainly concede it if you're right. But you're not adding anything. I'm just going to insult the host. Fair, go for it. But it's not adding anything to the program. Elon would never had the opportunity in other countries. He knows where his bread is buttered. It depends on what your definition of opportunity is. I mean, he's got billions of dollars. I mean, keep in mind, every billionaire ain't trying to move to America. You might be happy with the opportunities in another country. Like if Elon went to another country, they might propel him to king for the rest of his life. He can't get that in America. So the idea that he can't get opportunities in another country, that's not necessarily accurate. There are plenty of opportunities he could get in other countries. He could live like Saddam Hussein in some countries. You can't reach that level in America. So I don't know if I agree with that completely. Dorja Bennett says the LA fire chief, DEI, very harmful. Thanks, chat. I don't see any evidence that LA fire chief was DEI. Here, let me explain to you what I mean when I say that. Every black person, Hispanic, woman, member of the LGBTQ community, or disabled person that fucks up at their job is not DEI. You can just sometimes hire the wrong person. You were genuinely trying to hire somebody you thought had merit, and they fucked up in a certain area. You may have hired them because you looked at their resume and thought their credentials matched. And they got on the job and they fucked up at something. Ain't nothing to do with it. When Trump hired Omarosa for his first administration and fired her after a few weeks of it, was she a DEI hire? Did Trump himself engage in DEI? Or did he just hire a black woman that was not the right fit for the position? Because that's what we're starting to suggest, that if you hire a minority or a woman or a person that is, LGBTQ and they don't do right, they only got the job because they were that. No, everybody can fuck up at a job. I mean, how many cops have you seen doing the wrong thing on a job that happen to be white males? Did they only get hired because they were white? Well, sometimes people just fuck up. So even when you talk about the LA fire chief, how many police chiefs have been caught fucking up? Did they only get hired because they were white? You would never say that, would you? So why are we saying it on this in this case? So I'm not 100% sure the LA chief was a DEI hire. I just know she fit one of the criteria. If that same chief fucked up in the same exact manner, but she was a white person, nobody would be yelling DEI. We would just say she fucked up. That's it. She fucked up. Will G says, you know that fire chief was found poked unalive a few days ago. Really? The LA fire chief was stabbed, is what you're saying? I didn't hear that. No, I did not hear that. Wow. And I'm curious about that. Yeah, I do see it's coming up. Wow. No, I did not know. I didn't know she was killed. Jesus. Suspect in California fire. Yeah. Hey, wow, that's crazy. No, I didn't know that, Will. But I do see it on. Damn. I don't want to. I'm not going to go into reading it on air. But now I'm real curious of that story. I did not know this. And I bet you some of that melee claiming that this girl was a DEI and all of that. I'm curious. I don't know. I'm gonna speculate. I believe that some of that might be the reason why she got killed. I didn't know this.
I'm Pat Harvey.
And I'm Juan Fernandez. We start tonight. Developing news. Deputies on the hunt for the woman accused of stabbing an Inland Empire fire captain to death.
Well, KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers has been working this story from the desk, and in fact, you've been working it for the last few days, Mike. Yeah. You've learned the suspect has already served time for a death back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, you know, Pat and Juan, this story has certainly taken a wild turn. The suspect in this case is that fire captain's wife, and I've learned through court documents that in the year 2000, she was convicted of killing her then husband in San Bernardino County. Prosecutors accused her of using a knife to kill her husband back in 2000. Originally charged her with premeditated murder. She would later...
Is this ain't the one he talking about, is it? This doesn't look like her, though. I don't know. Man, that's terrible, though. This doesn't look like the one, because he said Inland Empire. This isn't the one from, this isn't the one they were talking about in regards to the LA fires. I don't think that's her, because she got fired, did she not? She got on Fox News and said that the mayor cut the funding or something like that, and it ended up hurting them in terms of manpower, and the mayor just fired him. I don't think this is the same police chief. I don't think this is the same one. But still, that's a hell of a story. So she had a wife who took her life, and before taking her life, the wife took the former husband's. She just happened to get with somebody that had some real mental health issues, and I don't think that's the same person. Wow, but that's still a distressing story. That's the fire chief's girlfriend. Yeah, and that's the thing is that the fire chief, I believe, was a lesbian or something like that, and people just automatically equated that her sexuality is the only reason she got the job. And that's the problem, is that if you're from people don't like these communities, so they just assume that, you know, you could be gay or a lesbian or something like, and just be good at your job. It doesn't mean that you only got the job because you're that. So, because the first thing I asked is, how the hell did they know she was gay? But, you know, people probably talking, and you know how it works. But I'm not for certain that she's a DEI. I think people are just picking that because she's a lesbian. Dencal, good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, so we were talking about Cash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard are telling their folks not to answer that letter from Elon Musk. Do you think what they're doing is showing insubordination? Should they be disciplined? If you're going to require all federal employees to respond to Elon's letter or they get terminated, isn't Cash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, aren't they federal employees?
Yeah, it's not like a trick question. It's like they just told Elon to go fuck off.
Yeah. So they would certainly have earned at least some kind of discipline, would they not?
Well, no, because that's not how Trump, he doesn't,
he cherishes loyalty. Like if you loyal to him, he'll he let people beat cops and let them off. Like he's not going to punish some people. He's just probably going to say, hey, y'all need to make nice with each other and just move on. But the problem is the process is corrupted now.
Yeah.
If one cabinet member can say, don't touch my shit, but the other ones can't. Like then you can't have it that way because that's not going to fly in court.
It's a great point. That's a great point.
The Supreme Court can't disagree with that. When those unions file all of those wrongful termination lawsuits against the government, and then they go up there. It's one thing if the president, he said it, and everybody went through the same process, even though we don't like the process. It's another one to say, well, these people get to say no, and those people can't. Like it's just wrongful termination.
That is a good point. But do you feel confident the Supreme Court would be fair about that?
I think they wouldn't. Look, it's certain things like we can agree that they can do certain things. It's certain things that's just so in your face that they can't just say, yeah, you could do like they're fighting for their own credibility also.
You really think that fucking Judge Alito and Clarence Thomas are fighting for their credibility? I don't think there's nothing they can do at this point. Their credibility is gone.
Those are the only two where you can 100% know that they're gonna go in his favor. But it's not injustices. And the other ones, they realize it's a lifetime appointment. And although they probably, owe a certain amount of allegiance to Trump, he gonna be gone for, far as they know, in 4 years. They gonna be up there for another 30 or 40 years. They do not want to destroy any kind of legacy that they could possibly have because they wanted to cater to his every move. Now they're gonna give him certain things. They gave him the immunity. They got him out of trouble, but they not gonna just do every single thing he say.
Speaking of the SCOTUS, I was expecting I am expecting Thomas and Alito to step down soon. Do you think they'll continue sticking it out? I mean, considering how old they are, and they got the man in office that would easily replace them with folks that are equally right-leaning, if not loyal to Trump as well. Do you think that those two are going to stay around?
Well, I mean, they bought themselves, another 4 years, and I mean, the way the thing is going with them trying to give him another, another term, like they got time. I think they'll probably do it, but it won't be until the end. Like, once he's about to leave, then they'll probably go ahead and let him appoint something. But I think that, look, they're along for the ride now. They in the catbird seat. Why would they leave now?
Yeah, I guess you're right. But I mean, they could ride off into the sunset as martyrs among MAGA. They could leave right now, and they're going to be viewed as heroes. I mean, they're not going to be in bad standing with MAGA. They gave them immunity, as you point out. They got them out of trouble, so they've done their job. It ain't like they need money, so they could ride off at the sunset right now.
But why not wait? Why not wait another 4 years and give him another,
Because of what you just said, is that eventually you're going to have to rule against him. You're taking risks that you may rule against Trump on something that may piss off MAGA. Right now, you got everybody happy with you. You could leave that way and keep it that way, or you could stay in there and take the risk of fucking up on something. Let's say Elon Musk and Trump have a falling out, and something ends up in your lap. You got to rule on.
It's coming. That's coming for sure.
So you too believe that Elon and Trump are going to fall out?
Oh yeah, it's coming. They've already hit little bumps in the road and stuff, and it's coming. It's definitely coming.
I think Trump said that Elon pulled him to the side and told him they try to divide us up. You think it's because of you think the liberal media, the left trying to divide them up for the gain? Because obviously there would be some gain to that.
Look, if Trump can't see that Elon Musk has ulterior motives, then look, I don't know what to say. If he can't see that this guy is chopping up every contract, every part of our government, but he ain't touched not one of his programs, not one of his contracts have been scrutinized. Nobody's been fired. None of that.
Yeah. I think he's just trying to make America great. What would that be like though? Because you know, Trump, both of these guys are alpha males. Trump and Elon are alpha males. Neither one of them are going to let you say shit about them without a heavy response. How would that go if them two end up going at it?
Me personally, I believe that Elon won't really, he won't really flex his muscle until he gets all of this information, all of this data for his AI, because he's been being stopped by some of these courts from getting some of this information. But I believe once he goes through every one of the, he's going through every department. After he goes through all of the departments, he gets access to all DOD, all Social Security, all Medicare, all payments to foreign government. After he gets all of that information, and he can put it together.
Wait, real quick. Just what do you? If we're speculating here, we don't know, but just in terms of speculation, why do you think he wants access to all of that data?
Because data is the new gold. Data, the information is everything. Like you can listen to him. I don't know if you ever listened to him. I sent you the video. I know you're real busy and stuff, but there's a video of him talking about AI is going to put every single human being out of work. And we will all be put on what he calls a universal income. And so if that's his goal, we understand that the better the AI, the more information you can input into it. Because once you input enough information into it, it can start teaching itself after it gets enough information. So all of these companies that are coming up with all of these AI, this Grok and OpenAI, they're in a data race right now.
Yeah.
And he has access to more data than anybody ever in the history of the world.
Yeah. He tried to purchase OpenAI about a week ago for like $90 odd billion. He tried to buy that company and they rejected the offer.
He tried to do a hostile takeover, but he said he wouldn't do it as long as they change to a not-for-profit, or so they could just give it away for free. But he know they're not going to do that.
And
He's
that's
just trying to hold them down until he gets his own stuff online.
And that's the issue that many are concerned with, is that you're talking about running a head of, Department of Government Efficiency while you're trying to make these huge billion-dollar deals like that with the information that Doge may put you privy to. Like, without Doge, you probably wouldn't be trying to buy OpenAI. I mean, so you're literally using your government position where you're holding everybody else accountable as a come-up. It's helping you out. So this is what folks are complaining about.
We seen him use $44 billion to buy X only to achieve a political goal. So if he did that, a lot of people think, he messed up the company, now it's only worth $9 billion. But that was a small investment into what it has turned out to be now that he's, made about $200 billion since the election. And if you don't think that collecting data is a part of his, what he's trying to do in this world, when he's told us what he's trying to do, he said we're going to have, people are not going to have jobs anymore. I don't understand how people can't listen to a man say.
Well, they may think he's not accurate. They may think he don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Well, why is they all calling him brilliant?
You asking too many questions.
You can't call him brilliant and then turn around and say, well, he don't know what he's talking about. Because we giving them access to all of our information.
But just to be honest, that's kind of what they do with Trump, is that he's a brilliant leader, he's going to make America great again, but he's just joking about that. He's not going to be able to do that. He's just exaggerating on that. He can't do that on day one. They're kind of saying that about Trump, is that he's brilliant, but he don't necessarily tell you, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They're saying that now.
Right, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in right now. And people can, they can say, well, look, all he's doing is saving us money, and they just can't see. He is literally tearing down the government. When they say make America great again, at what time in American history did somebody come in and just, let's get rid of all of the minorities. Let's get, they showed a picture the other day of all of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and it was like 2 people in this picture got fired.
And the 2 black people. I've seen that. The woman in the guy standing up. Yeah, I've seen that.
Right.
Well,
I talked to a buddy of mine who was a military officer, and I asked him what he thought of that, and he said, well, we don't really know why he did it. Maybe it's because they don't fall in line with his ideology and stuff. I said, dude, open your freaking eyes, man. This ain't hard to see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, just my observation. Trump is not very keen on hiring black people. It is what it is. I mean, but in terms of politics, now I don't know what he did in the.
You're so graceful in your.
I'm trying to be kind. I got a hell of a lot of MAGA that I like talking to as well. But I'm just going to say, in terms of politics, I don't know what the hell he does in his own businesses, but in terms of politics, he's not very keen on hiring black people. I mean, how many black folks have he really appointed or hired to anything? I assume maybe some of the lower court judges there may be a few of them in there, but in terms of the people in terms of the people like cabinet members and shit, like you got Ben Carlson, Omarosa was one. I guess we can.
She wasn't even a cabinet. She was just an advisor. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to stretch the spam and rice. I got to feed these kids. So okay. I would probably throw Tulsi Gabbard in there. She ain't exactly white. I mean, that's kind of. I'm picking up the scraps. I'm trying to give you everything I can. But he ain't real keen on hiring black people. It is what it is.
They looked at his record when it came to hiring. Remember that record set amount of judges he had hired? He had put on the federal bench when the first time he was in office. It was like 3 or 4 of them was people of color. And I mean, he put in like 180 or something like that.
Yeah. Now, some folks in my comments on YouTube are bringing up Byron Donalds and Tim Scott. He didn't hire them. Did he hire them anything? He didn't appoint them to anything, did he?
Nothing.
Yeah, he didn't hire them. They were already.
He had them dudes tap dancing across the screen, and they got nothing.
Yeah, he's favorable. He's friendly to them. But Tim Scott was a senator in South Carolina, and he ran for president. I think he's the head of some kind of Senate committee, but it ain't. I mean, he's there because of Trump, but Trump didn't appoint him or hire him to anything.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
When you do that much bootlicking, I expect to be sitting in the room making the decisions.
Well, what he should have did when he was talking about "I love you, man" and shit like that. Can I talk to you after this, man? And that's when he, look, I'm putting in a lot of work. I can't go home after dealing with your ass, right? You got a job for him, bro? I mean, shit.
Look, he got married because of you, man.
Yeah, like I can't. Right, I done picked up this bitch now just to make this shit look right. I can't go home, so get your boy a job. He could have gave him something. Department of Janitorial Services or some shit. I don't know. Tim Scott about to risk it all for Trump. Now, the only thing I've ever seen Tim Scott push back on is when Trump tweeted out that video of the guy yelling white power and he begged him to take it down. And my thing is, if more racial issues keep coming up in Trump's administration or orbiting around Trump, maybe he might feel like even some of my most loyal African Americans or people of color might start pushing back because eventually their families are going to be pushing on them. So it might be best to avoid those folks.
I mean, him and Byron Donalds, they both totally capitulated. I don't think that they would ever say anything against him. I think
Tim Scott already did. I'm telling you, Tim Scott told him to take down.
That one time, he did. That was before the "I love you, man" and all
Oh yeah, that was it. That was in his previous term. Yeah, that was in his last term.
That's what I'm saying. He had already just went on ahead and put that all of that, all the white power. He put that behind him.
God damn, Dan. So, but the big story is you do just like my other callers. You believe Tim Scott and not Tim Scott, Elon and Trump are going to have a falling out.
Yeah, they've had just little bitty riffs so far, and I could tell like he didn't like how Elon Musk had his son in there. He didn't like some of the optics of the things. And it's been a couple of things that Elon has said. Like I'm sure he's pissed off at Elon.
That is about
for sending out 2 million emails to every worker in the federal government talking about show me what you did, or I'm gonna accept that as your resignation. That caused a disturbance because that's when Kash Patel said no, you can't do that. So now Trump has got to come out with some way of smoothing it over.
He ain't doing a good job at that. They questioned him on it. His answer was a non-answer, kind of like when they asked him, is Putin a dictator? It was a non-answer. He ain't really getting in the way of what, I think he said something like you're either fired or you're halfway fired or something crazy like that. So he ain't getting in the way of it. I'll see if I can find that clip. I got to move on, Cal, but he ain't getting in the way of Elon. He's letting that go.
Right, but that's the type of thing that's going to make it into the courts, and it's going to make him difficult. He might not answer right now, but somewhere along the way, he's going to have to put his foot down one way or other. He's going to have to tell Cash, listen to Elon, or he's going to have to tell Elon, slow your roll before you do this kind of stuff.
He'll get rid of Kash Patel over Elon all day of the week. I mean, Cash is
got Cash in there, man.
Cash can go like Scaramucci or Omarosa did. You can enjoy your month. You out of here. He ain't letting go of Elon.
I don't know if he could break the record of Scaramucci. How long did he last?
No, Scaramucci only lasted 11 days, so he's already past that.
Okay, so he ain't gonna break the record, but he's gonna have to make some type of decision because this stuff is not gonna go away.
If they have a falling out, that is newsworthy enough to interrupt the local networks. That's big because it's going to get messy as fuck. You see what Elon told Steve Bannon, fuck yourself in the face. If them two go back and forth, man, I'm going to be doing some 24-hour programs. I got to go, though. Appreciate it.
All right, take it easy.
Anytime. Yeah, if them two end up falling out, man, the amount of barbs going back and forth. Somebody in the comments stated that I forgot about Ben Carson. That was the first person I mentioned. I didn't forget about Ben Carson. Trump hiring Ben Carson. Was his Surgeon General? Was it a black guy under Trump's first term? He had a little bit more diversity the first term. But this term, it ain't happening. I do want to respond to some super chats that I didn't get around to, so I do apologize to that. I don't know what I'm doing with here looking at this. But yeah, that fire chief thing, man, that would have been, I hadn't heard that, but I got the media, the news stations on behind me on the monitor, and I did see, they were just talking about it a minute ago while me and Denkel were talking. Will says, not only cut but froze everything except his contracts and his payments from his contracts. I'm late reading that. So I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about. Not only cut, but froze everything except his contracts and payments on his contracts. I don't know if that's in response to what I stated, that if Trump and Elon have a falling out, it wouldn't surprise me if Trump tries to get the government to freeze some of Elon's assets. This is all speculation, okay? Understand that. I'm not saying that any of this shit's going to happen, but we know Trump's method of operation is to hit you in the pocketbook when he has a falling out with you. No more federal funding is what he tells states, liberal states, sanctuary cities. He told that to Egypt and Jordan if they don't take in immigrants or refugees from Gaza. He always goes first for money. I mean, so if him and Elon Musk have a falling out, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts trying to freeze different things that Elon Musk has in the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if he finds ways to get the Justice Department to go after him in a manner where he can start freezing assets. Just speculate. Dorjam Bennett says, let the man work. Didn't hear much about unproductive Sleepy Joe. Captain, Sleepy Joe, I get that, but what is the rest of that? Captain Bata Calf Care. I don't know what you're talking about there, but in regards to unproductive Sleepy Joe Biden, compared to Trump, I'll concede that Joe Biden comes across as very unproductive. Elon Musk is a different story. Because Elon Musk is just telling us a bunch of shit. I don't know how accurate what Elon Musk is doing. All I know is Elon Musk is firing a bunch of people. In regards to how much money he's really saving us, a lot of that shit he said has come back to be not accurate. So I'm not going to give Elon credit for being productive yet. Trump, on the other hand, I'm giving him credit because he does talk to the media, he holds press conferences, he speaks to the people. That in itself has a little bit of value in it, even though sometimes what he says at the meetings are not true either. But fact is, you hear from Trump 100 times more than you ever would have heard from Biden. And I like that. I like that. If he's lying, you can actually fact check what he's saying and hold him accountable for it. But it is nice to have a president that talks to the people. For me, that is some level of productivity. I mean, and with Trump, he'll stand in front of the cameras for 2 hours answering questions. He'll do it for 2 hours. And then the next day he'll go back out there for another 2 hours. I mean, you don't get that out of Biden over a period of months. You don't get that kind. I mean, Trump's been in office 5 weeks as of tomorrow. He's been in front of the cameras easily a year of Biden. He's already given more speeches and conversation that a year of Biden would not be what Trump has did. I think that's a good thing. I don't think, like I said, he's always being accurate or truthful with what he says, but that gives you more to compliment or critique the man about. He is speaking to the people, though. Also, in regards to Trump, even though I'm saying that some of the things he says is not true, I'll still give him credit in the category of transparency. Because when he says he's going to do something, he does try to do it. So that does give you the ability to forecast what may be coming down the pipe, such as him stating that he hopes Elon goes even further in government cuts. So that means the firing is not going to stop. Whereas maybe with Biden or something, you'd be sitting back wondering what's going to go on. So I give him credit. He is transparent, at least to some degree, and he talks to the people. So I give Trump a little credit in productivity. Elon, I don't know what the hell he's doing. I'm not going to say he's being productive because too many things he said have turned out not to be true. Dorjam, Joe and Kamala actually lowered inflation and unemployment and did it without freezing the government. You say that's coming from Will saying that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden lowered inflation and unemployment without freezing the government. Yeah, to me, if in regards to cutting government waste and getting rid of, corruption, what do they call it? Abuse, fraud, what is it? Waste, fraud, and abuse. They went for the low-hanging fruit that is going to produce the least amount of waste, fraud, and abuse. Everybody knows the Pentagon and Department of Defense is where all of the money is at. USAID and this little shit that is only 1% of the budget. If you really want to curtail some waste, fraud, and abuse, you don't go around firing employees and shit like that. There's plenty of waste, fraud, and abuse at the top that represents a hell of a lot more money. So we'll have to see what happens. But if they stop at just firing people, they never were after waste, fraud, and abuse. And in my opinion, I don't think it's about waste, fraud, and abuse. I think it's about getting rid of personnel. I don't think they really actually are trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. I think they're trying to get rid of people for other reasons. Some of these people might end up being resistant. Some of these folks may not be down with our agenda. Get rid of the people. That's what it seems like to me. I don't think they're trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, Trump promised he'll go after the Pentagon and, he'll tackle the Pentagon's budget and the Department of Defense. He said he'll do it. Until he does it, though, it's just a promise. Let's see if he does that. If he does that, then you may hear me on here speaking more favorably of him if he starts finding all kinds of waste in that area. But right now, it's just something he stated. Dorjam says, I didn't notice. I already had a job. The tax-free overtime sure looks good. And that's something he also promised. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. But I'm hearing at least Democrats suggest they've seen the budget, and that ain't even in there. Same thing with the $5,000 they've been flirting about, giving people $5,000 or whatever. That they've seen the proposed budget, and that shit ain't even in there. You notice since Trump got elected, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, they ain't really talking about that. Every time he's in front of cameras, he should be bragging about doing that. You don't really hear them talking about that. So we'll see what happens, but it is odd, just like with the price of eggs and groceries and shit like that. It was coming up at every campaign rally. Once he got in the White House, you don't hear nothing about. You don't even hear MAGA, Trump supporters, talking about the price of eggs. They were taking that and beating Biden into a pulp with that shit. The price of eggs, the price of groceries, I can't afford to eat. Damn, I'm starving under Biden. Trump gets elected, ain't shit went down in price, and suddenly they don't seem to care about the price of groceries anymore. Somebody would have to explain that to me. I don't understand how that works. All of a sudden, they got a ton of patience. Well, he's going to do it. Don't expect him to do it on day one, even though he told you. It's only been 2 weeks. It's only been 3 weeks. Damn, you're rushing it. It's only been 4 weeks. Tomorrow it'll be 5. But when Biden was in office, this shit was an emergency. I don't have any milk to feed my baby. Price of eggs costs $8 a dozen. Damn. All of a sudden Trump gets in there and I got all the time in the world. I can wait. He's working on it. I don't know. And I see in the comments, Johnny says, we endured 4 years of Biden, LOL. Yeah, but you were saying during those 4 years of Biden that you were struggling. You were getting desperate. Under Trump, you suddenly have room to wait a little bit. What happened? What happened? Dorjum says, a MAGA judge blocked no tax on overtime. I didn't want it to put in, that's how I know you slow. You're saying that a Trump-appointed judge blocked no tax on overtime that Biden wanted to implement. Then why did Trump run on it? Trump hasn't rewound, or you're saying that to Dorjam there, Will G. A MAGA judge blocked no tax on overtime. Because Trump hasn't rescinded that. Ed, good evening, Ed G. None of you knew, Biden was going to allow the Ukrainians to strike in Russia till last minute, but Trump is doing exactly what he said, and that's a surprise to you guys. I think, Ed, I would say you're about 70% right. Trump did tell us what he was going to do. 70%. But 30% of the shit Trump is doing, he didn't tell us what he was going to do. I don't think anybody expected Trump with Elon Musk to fire as many government employees as he's firing. He didn't say he was going to do all that. He said he was going to shrink the size of government. There's a lot of ways to shrink the size of government without firing everybody. As I mentioned earlier, we got 12 aircraft carriers. We only need 10. We can shrink that down some. We got 450 F-35s. We could probably get by with only 30, we could probably get rid of 50 of those. I mean, you're shrinking government. He started with the fucking people. I don't think anybody knew that. So when you say he's doing what he promised to do, not totally. I think in terms of immigrants, birthright citizenship and all of that stuff, I think everybody knew he was going to be cruel and inhumane to immigrants. So he's definitely only doing what he promised in that area. But firing people, getting rid of generals and the head of the Coast Guard and saying it's DEI related, I don't think anybody expected that. I don't think people expected him to go after veterans and shit like that. That wasn't expected. I think we knew he was going to pardon the January 6th participants. That was known. So I'd say 70% of what he is doing, even though it was controversial, he did state he was going to do it. But about 30% of what he's doing was not expected. Elon Musk sending out a letter to everybody saying, give me 5 things you did or you can consider yourself fired. Nobody expected that. because a lot of folks getting those letters are MAGA. Nobody expected that. And the possibility of fucking with Social Security and Medicaid and all that, nobody was expecting that. Nobody was expecting that. So he didn't totally tell everybody everything he was going to do. Juicy 19794. Good evening, Juicy. Welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going? So, Tim, I just wanted to start this off that, I know you get a lot of guests. You might not remember me, but the day before we thought TikTok was going off, I've been listening to you. It'll be like 3 years in May.
Thank you.
I said, hey, man, I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you. I never jumped in the box, but, I appreciated everything I learned from you. I was rocking with you when I remember all the comments were like Coon and Uncle Tom and all that bullshit. Uncle Ruckus.
I'll tell you, I got a story behind that. When I first started, it was at the worst of the Biden economy, and I was real hard on President Biden, and it brought me a lot of MAGA because most of my comments of Biden were not very flattering. But as the economy started getting better, I started being a bit lighter on Biden and giving him credit for areas that were getting better. Some liberals came along, some MAGA left. And because I believe in calling balls and strikes no matter which politician it is, but MAGA don't want to hear Trump criticized and the liberals don't want to hear Trump praised. So depending on what's going on, my audience fluctuates based on that. But wow.
And I remember that. I remember when I first started watching you, it was like 70% MAGA, 30% liberal.
Yep.
And that's why I liked you because I was learning a lot from you. And and I just remember that in the beginning how all the nasty comments you used to get.
Yeah, it was mostly from people. Yeah, it was mostly from liberals and people of color. Like you said, calling me coon and calling me a sellout. Yeah, because I was favorable to Trump at the time because Biden was. I thought he was doing a shitty job back then. But like I said, as things started getting better.
Right, and Tim, and even though I love you, I can't even lie. When I first saw you, I was one of those man, look at this dude. And then I stopped and listened, and I was like, oh, okay, blah blah. And so, okay, so Tim, I want you to take it easy on me. I'm really, you're the one I've really learned a lot from politics about. So, even in the comments, I'm really, I'm still new to this. But, I just wanted to bring up, where do you think everything is going as far as, fascism and whatnot? I'm kind of worried about that. I am.
Well, and obviously I'm speculating here. I'd hate to call any leader a fascist or whatever, but there is what they refer to as the 14 tenets of fascism. Boxes are being checked off. So just let's take Trump and Biden out of the picture, or Trump out of the picture. That's who's the president right now. We're not talking about Biden. Let's take Trump out of the picture and imagine just telling folks what is currently going on in the United States. I think even MAGA would say it sounds like you guys may be on the cusp of fascism. If I didn't say what party it is, I just told folks we have a current president in office, and this is what he's doing. He's done that. He's done that. He said this. He said this. I think even MAGA would be like, damn, who the hell is that? That don't sound like, he's gotten rid of veterans. He's fired a bunch of folks. He's going more for loyalty as opposed to merit. I'm not saying what party he's in, I'm not telling people what party he's in. I'm not telling people who he is. I'm just telling folks what he's doing. I think even MAGA would be questioning wow, this, it would be raising eyebrows because he is checking off plenty of those boxes in regards to the path towards fascism. Like I said, I'm not saying he's going to be a fascist, but he is checking off a lot of boxes quickly.
Right, but and one thing I loved about you is that you do go into the opposition. I love how you said you used to call into Fox News all the time, and you do listen to Fox News. And when Kamala was, the elect, I started listening to Fox News a lot. And so, and I go to a lot of MAGA lives, but it doesn't seem like MAGA. I see a lot of celebrating. I see a lot of celebrating other Americans losing jobs, and I just don't get that.
They're winning. They're celebrating. I mean, I think the liberals, but the liberals wouldn't be firing everybody like this, but the liberals would be celebrating too if they were winning. I mean, there's a reason they're celebrating. They're winning right now. I mean, Trump has shown that he can survive anything. So they're celebrating because they're winning. And they're not celebrating because they're winning in their personal lives. They're celebrating because the guy that they adore, which is their candidate of choice, he is winning. And I've said this before, it's kind of like watching your favorite team win a World Series or win a Super Bowl. It gives you a reason to celebrate. You're happy. It's not making any difference in your life. You still got to go to work the next day after the Super Bowl. It doesn't make a difference in your bills. It doesn't bring down the cost of eggs or groceries or anything. But you're happy your team won. And that's what, he's sticking it to the liberals. He's curtailed the gains of the LGBTQ community. He's getting rid of all this DEI bullshit. Their team is winning, but none of that stuff is affecting their lives directly. So it's like literally watching your team win a championship.
Right, but Tim, it's the footballification of politics. Like, it's different. Like I'm a Chiefs fan. When the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl, I went to work the next day. It didn't affect my family. It didn't affect anyone else's family. But the footballification of politics is different. I mean, this stuff affects you.
That's because we become so tribalistic like that. That's why that's happened.
Well, right. So, a lot of polls I saw, and I swore up and down Kamala was going to win based off of polls I saw and what I saw in the past.
Man, were those polls wrong? Wow.
Right. Now it seems like we're a different country right now.
But as many folks are pointing out, it ain't like Trump didn't tell us it's going to be like a different country. I mean, he made some pretty bold promises, and a lot of them he's simply trying to live up to them.
But I mean, when we're siding with Russia now, did you see that thing where United States, Russia, and North Korea voted against the United Nations against Ukraine? I mean, we're pro-Russia now.
But I'm going to say what I just said. It's not like people thought that if Trump gets in there, he's going to continue backing the Ukraine. He made it clear he was favorable to Putin long before he got elected. We're talking about biolabs in the Ukraine. You see what Tucker Carlson was essentially on Russia state TV. The right has been favorable to Russia for several years at this point. So Trump getting in there, people knew, I think even Zelensky knew, if there's going to be a big difference between Biden or Kamala Harris getting reelected versus Trump. Even Zelensky knew that. I got a lot on the line here. I mean, so it's not like he didn't make it known that he was going to be really anti-Ukraine.
Right. But so, Tim, going forward, this is what I think Democrats need to do. I think, and I hate to use the word, but I think Democrats need to be more radical. It has to be more like Fox News. CNN was let's do this 50-50. MSNBC is 50-50. No, Fox News, when I watched Fox News, they had Trump.
Fox News is not unbiased. I mean, they are 100% biased. You're not going to get anything fair and balanced out of Fox News. Yeah, it's pretty biased.
Right, but that's and one thing I even heard you say is that Democrats are when Michelle Obama was oh, let's go, when they go low we go high. No, we got to stop that BS. No, Democrats need to be more if you want to hit low, we're gonna hit low. Stop all this. Our candidates have to be perfect. When Anderson Cooper was questioning Kamala Harris, talking about why didn't you go on Joe Rogan? No, we need to stop all that bullshit. No, we need to be nah, we're backing Kamala no matter what, period.
Well, here's the problem, because remember Genocide Joe, and they didn't like Kamala Harris in terms of the folks that were yelling Free Palestine. What you said, a lot of folks agree that they need to go and hit hard like the right is doing, but there's a problem with this. And I say this all the time on the show, is that it's a lot easier to be a Republican politician than it is to be a Democrat politician, because the Democrats give a seat at the table to a lot of different groups. Muslims, you seen with the old genocide joke, you gotta talk to them at the rallies because they're showing up talking about free Palestine. Muslims, you gotta deal with the feminists, you gotta deal with the LGBTQ community, you got black people saying this shit ain't been done right for them, you got the Hispanics speaking up. All of them gets a seat at the table with the Democrat Party. Republican Party, for the most part, it's going to be the agenda of straight white Christian males. Them other folks, they're not getting a seat at the table. So it's a lot easier to be a Republican politician. So when they want to go low, as you're talking about, it's easy to do it because we all kind of think alike. At the Democrat table, there are so many different facets of people. It's harder to get them to all agree because it's so many different folks fighting in so many different directions. So I don't know if you're going to get them to go low versus going high because it's just so many people you got to get to work together. The Republicans don't have that obstacle. As long as you're promoting the values of straight white Christian males, you're going to get most of the Republican vote. And I'm not even talking about being white. Like, for instance, even when you listen to Republicans that are African American or Hispanic or a woman, when you hear what they favor, if you took their face away and wrote down what they said on paper and read it, it would sound like it's coming from a straight white Christian male. They still have the same exact agenda. So, I mean, you listen to Tim Scott. He don't, racism doesn't exist. Ain't no problem going. So he sounds just like that same agenda. Whereas on the Democrat Party, these people are all speaking up for their own, behalf. It's going to be hard to get them to all agree like that.
So, Tim, is there a way that we can change that, I guess?
Ooh. From the Democratic side?
And you're an intelligent guy, and is there a way you can think of that we could change that? We have to change that, Tim.
I can't imagine. Even Malcolm X couldn't get the black community to do that shit. I don't know. I think people want to be civil. I think the Democrats, it's just in them to be civil. In terms of this, I don't see the Democrats outside of maybe a group like Black Lives Matter, which are not necessarily card-carrying Democrats, but actual card-carrying Democrats acting like they did on January 6th, I don't see it. The fight ain't in them like that. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I won't say I hope I'm wrong, but some of you folks in the comments can let me know if you think I'm wrong, because the folks on January 6th that were rioting, those are devoted Republicans. And people compare them to BLM. BLM people don't vote. Them are not Democrats. But actual true blue Democrats, I don't see them doing that kind of stuff. I just don't.
Then we're gonna lose. That's just the way it is. Like I said, like the Republican Party is just different now. Like when I've heard you say, what they used to value, but they don't value those things no more. And us as Democrats are sitting there still trying to play by the rules. Well, if me and you are in a boxing ring and you have brass knuckles and I have just normal boxing gloves, and I'm gonna go to sleep knowing that I fought you legitimately, but I lost. But that don't mean a damn thing. I lost.
But here's a counter to that, though. If the law is adhered to, Trump is gone as of 2028. There's nobody else in the party that has anywhere near the adoration or love of Trump. Elon Musk can't officially run. J.D. Vance and all these people ain't gonna do it. So going back to, we all go high and maintain civil in politics is likely what is to follow because Trump is out of the picture. Most of the Republican Party, the ones that may win, they're not gonna act like that. Even Ron DeSantis, who might be a little rough around the edges, he was not gonna be as blunt as Trump. So once Trump is out of the picture, the need that you're talking about, we need to go really low because they're hitting in the nuts and shit like that. I don't think most of the other Republicans are going to do that. I think it'll go closer back to what we normally had.
But you don't already see some of the Republicans doing that? No matter what, they defend Trump. No matter what.
Yeah, but once he is gone is what I'm talking about. The next leader of the Republican Party is not going to have that blind adoration that Trump does. I don't know who they're going to promote. Trump has already said J.D. Vance is not the guy, but whoever follows Trump is not going to get like Trump has MAGA no matter what. That whole middle of Fifth Avenue statement. I don't know anybody in the Republican Party that could say something like that and it actually be true. It's true for Trump. Once Trump is gone, I think it'll start going back to something that if the country doesn't get destroyed in the process, I think it'll go back to something we resemble. I think it'll get a little bit more peaceful.
Right. But what is it about Trump that I don't get? Because, Southerners, they always used to hate what they would say is Yankees, referring to the North. Referring to somebody like Trump, a billionaire, a New Yorker, a guy who's always had money, and blah, blah. They've went against their own grain for Trump. So, I just think these people are different now. I hear what you're saying, but how do we know that they won't go to J.D. Vance when, yes, I agree with you, in the past, you're right, but they fall for a guy like Trump who's the opposite of them.
Trump is really good at speaking. He's an excellent salesman. Like I always say, he could sell ice to an Eskimo. He is really good at what he does. That's why I don't believe there's anybody that's going to follow Trump up on the right that will have that. I mean, and also keep in mind, Trump is somebody we've all known our entire lives. So he got this huge celebrity status that goes along with him that none of them are going to have. I just can't see anybody on the Republican side. And I'm not saying they may not win in the future, but I can't see anybody on the Republican side that is going to get that amount of love from the Republican Party compared to Trump. There is just no one else out there like him right now. And I don't know who could be.
Right, but they're already defending, and I would have agreed with you, but until I saw what Elon Musk is doing, and then they're defending Elon Musk's salute.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I did say if the law holds up, if they adhere to the law. Elon Musk is not allowed to be president. Now, if they break the law or something like that, then Elon Musk is Trump's successor. If for some reason they change the law so that he could run, he would be the leader of the party. He would be the guy to follow Trump.
Right. But also Elon's using a lot of dangerous language, as far as I'm gonna pay for if a Republican runs against me, I'm gonna pay for the opposing Republican. I'll fund them. That's such dangerous talk that I don't see why people aren't understanding how dangerous that is.
Because they're winning. It's like having a mob boss on the block that makes sure you have a turkey at Thanksgiving, make sure you have nice Christmas gifts to help you out with your rent. You know he's out there killing people on the South Side, but in your neighborhood, he's taking care of everybody. People would turn a blind eye if the bad guy is helping them get ahead. And that's the way I'm looking at it. You're pointing all this stuff out, but to MAGA, he's doing good for them. So, yeah, he's sticking it to the libs, or he's firing somebody over here, or he's leaving the Ukrainians hanging, but he looks out for us. So
right, but even the people who are being fired in the federal government, some of them are MAGA.
It ain't enough of them. The ones that he's firing, yeah, they may not have as much of love and adoration for Trump anymore. But in terms of the sheer size of MAGA, 75 million or whatever it was that voted for him this time, it ain't many of them getting. How many federal employees have gotten fired? A few thousand. And probably at least almost half of them are liberals. So the amount of MAGA that's gotten caught up in this is probably under 15,000. It's just not enough of them.
Right, but Tim, so on April 1st, people on Medicare won't be able to do telehealth through Medicare. So
now that stuff will start. That stuff will start to increase the numbers of dissent once he starts taking away entitlement programs and things like that. The cost of prescriptions and shit starts shooting up if he starts fucking with healthcare, universal healthcare entitlements and stuff like that. Yeah, if he gets to that, then some of the things you're saying would start to come to fruition. Now you're going to start having, because there are far more people that are among the MAGA sect that use some of those entitlements than there are MAGA working for the federal government getting fired. You start fucking with entitlements, Medicaid, Medicare, and all. Yeah, now you're hitting far greater numbers of people. And yeah, then you'll start having some of what you're talking about. The size of those town hall rebellions will grow in numbers, all of that. I don't know. He may stop it before that, though.
All right. But Tim, I know you have to move on, but hey, I just want you to know that we had this intelligent conversation based off of stuff I've learned from you.
Wow.
And like I research from you, I like listen to you every day, man, and I listen to other people, and like I looked all this stuff up. I started like getting my own like opinion, googling stuff, like and asking questions. So Tim, I'm just glad I was able to have an intelligent conversation with you, based off of like I want you to know that you were the man who like
Wow.
like helped me be able to learn all this stuff. And I'm proud of this moment to have this intelligent conversation with you. And I like this, and I want to like join again another time.
Wow, I'm honored. I'm flattered. Come on back anytime. My door is always open to you. Thank you. Appreciate that accolade. Thank you. And by the way, folks, it's always good to get a caller that doesn't say you're a piece of shit libtard. So it's always good to get a compliment every now and then. I do take the bad calls as well, though, so it's not a matter of me only taking a call because this guy is going to speak favorably of me. I didn't know he was going to say that, so I do appreciate that. But I get plenty of calls, folks, just like in the comments. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know shit. You're out of touch. I take those, too. So understand this is about free speech. You don't have to be complimentary or critical of the host. This is how free speech runs. Real quick, by the way, if you do favor this type of open dialogue from all sides of the aisle, I'll ask you to take this time out to follow the program if you are on TikTok, Instagram Live, or if you're on YouTube, horizontal or vertical. By the way, I do have a caller on Instagram. We'll go to Instagram next. Will G says, think of MAGA price of eggs argument like MAGA wanting haircuts during the C-19 lockdowns. It was all bullshit. It does appear that way. Appreciate that. Was that Lewis? Yeah, Lewis, thank you for those claws. Appreciate the support of the program. But yeah, it says, think of MAGA's price of eggs argument like MAGA when they wanted haircuts during the COVID-19 lockdowns. I just want to go out and push to get a haircut because I don't like the fact that they're locking me down. Yeah? Yeah, that is. Anima Empathetic says, when Tim says the things his guests get, banana for it. And I don't know why that happens. I'm 100% for free speech. I can't, in fact, my live got shut down yesterday for a guest. A guest said some shit that they didn't, I guess TikTok didn't like. I'd let you say any damn thing if it was left up to me. I mean, I'm not a fan of people yelling the N-word out, but I would let it, look, if you want to get on here and say some dumb shit, as long as it's part of the conversation, so be it. I don't block, ban, or censor, but I can't control the TikTok gods, YouTube and Instagram gods, so they got their own AI or whatever the hell's going on. If they hear words they don't like, they shut the shit down. And they got nothing to do with me, because I'm 100% for free speech. I don't believe silencing folks changes their damn opinion. And you get to learn you get to learn a little bit more about the individual by letting them speak. Ed G says, lies. They were getting people fired up using the wrong pronouns. Yeah, but in regards to the whole pronoun thing, I think where I give Trump credit, is they were, and the liberals are trying this, but the liberals didn't do as good of a job with this. But the Trump side of the aisle were far better at taking the radical extremes of the left and branding the whole party with it. Defunding the police, for instance, is an extreme idea that most Democrats are not in favor of. But MAGA, Trump supporters were successful in branding the whole liberal party with that shit. Most liberals don't want to ban block the police or defund the police. I don't want to do that. But a lot of folks did not go with the liberals because they want to get rid of the cops. Same thing with the Second Amendment. There's a whole lot of pew-pew loving Democrats out there. You might be looking at one for all you know. And the right has done a really good job of branding the Democrat Party as if they all want to take away your guns. That's not. Bernie Sanders is not even anti-2A. So, yeah, but I mean, they've been good at doing it. Now, the Democrats have tried to do it. They've branded Trump a racist and stuff like that. It just didn't have the same success as Trump's branding. Like socialism, for instance. All Democrats are for socialism. You see 8 years of Obama, did America even come close to being a socialist country? Not even remotely close. But they branded him a socialist. They were using it on Hillary Clinton. They used it against Biden. They were about to use it against Kamala Harris. And when it came to a lot of Hispanics that had to flee countries that were being oppressed by socialist or communist leadership, they fell for it and they voted for Trump. That's why you got the Venezuelan lady out there talking about they tricked us, they fooled us, they used us. They told us they were only going to go after the undocumented people, and he used us. Well, they're bringing up, Hugo Chavez or whatever, or the Venezuelans, you got a socialist government. If you vote for the Democrats, they're going to do it. They're going to do what happened in Venezuela to America. So they went out and voted for Trump. Now he's going to send the ass right back to Venezuela. You can't beat it with a stick. Look at the comments. I mean, that's exactly what happened. Yes, Biden wanted OT, but a Texas MAGA judge blocked it. Well, Trump would probably be more successful if he took it to the appeals court at this point. That Texas judge may have just been working on behalf of Trump. Just like the Oklahoma congressman that stated he was told that if you help Biden with the border bill, we're going to try to destroy your career. They wanted the border fixed. They just didn't want Biden to be the one to do it. If the law was adhered to, Trump would be jailed, says Mr. Splackville. There is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. I do believe that whole Supreme Court immunity thing was just an olive branch to Trump. Trump derangement syndrome destroyed the Democrat Party, says Salty Colonel. I don't know what Trump derangement syndrome is. I really don't. If you I could be a hardcore MAGA Trump supporter. I could tattoo Trump's face on my forehead. Paint a picture of his face on the hood of my car. Wear nothing but Trump gear, MAGA hats everywhere I go, and nobody would ever say I have TDS. And that's about as deranged as you can fucking get. My analysis is you can only have Trump derangement syndrome if you don't like him. Then that's not derangement. That's not. It's just a trolling way to point out people who don't like Trump, because there's a lot of Trump lovers that are really fucking deranged. I mean, there are people that got Trump's face tattooed on them. If that ain't derangement, I don't know what is. And there are people that actually have him tattooed on their body, and you would never hear MAGA suggest that person. They would call that person a patriot. So I don't know what Trump derangement syndrome is, other than you don't like Trump. You often talk about not liking Trump, so you're deranged. How long did Trump talk about Hillary Clinton? You still may hear him occasionally talk about her. Does he have Hillary derangement syndrome? He talked about the late John McCain 2 years after the man was dead. He was still insulting him. Did he have McCain derangement syndrome? I don't know what TDS is. I really don't. It's just you don't like Trump. We don't like you, so we're going to say your ass is deranged. It's easier to be Democrat when you fail your people. Just blame misogyny, racism, and oppression. Just look how they switched up on black men or Hispanics instead of taking accountability that Americans felt they let them down. Ed, I don't disagree with that. I do believe that the Democrat Party. Now, I'm not gonna deny that Kamala Harris losing, there was some racism and misogyny involved in that. So I'm going to agree with you about 60%. I do believe the Democrat Party failed to listen to the American people. For instance, you still have Democrats speaking favorably of transgender being allowed to play whatever sport they want to use, being allowed to use whatever bathroom they identify with. That's a loser with the American people. Real talk. Appreciate the galaxy. Wow, real talk. Shout out to you. Thank you. But the transgender issue is not the ground to die on, in my opinion. It's not the hill to die. I mean, it's pretty clear the American people have spoken on that. And when I say the American, I mean, there's a lot of Democrats that do not believe, including me. I don't believe a biological male should be able to play for for a team with women. So the Democrats need to get up off of that. I mean, first of all, there's only a small percentage of transgender people in this country, and it's destroying your campaigns. So I agree with that part, Ed G, when you're saying that they're not necessarily listening to the American people. That's a perfect example of it. And there are other issues like Joe Biden's mental health decline. There was a lot of Democrats saying this guy needs to step down, like George Clooney and some of them. And they didn't listen. They didn't listen. So, yeah, I mean, some of the reason behind the Democrat loss is ignoring the American people and not realizing what was going on. I don't totally disagree with that. But I'm going to disagree with you when you suggest that misogyny and racism did not have any part in it. That absolutely did as well. That absolutely did as well. So it's a combination of both, but not listening to the American people didn't help the Democratic Party. Looking at the comments, Sherman Hemmick says, "You're a big liar." Why can't I be a small liar? What I'd rather have, you can call me the liar part, I don't mind the criticism, but I would rather have you actually use all of that space you have below the word liar to actually fill in some information of what I'm lying about. Maybe I'll end up having to concede your point and you can correct me. But just calling me a big liar doesn't add anything to the conversation. But thank you for your input. Looking at the comments, Biden shouldn't have run again. True. That is 100% true. I agree with that. That's your opinion, handsome. Military Tallman, I think that says. Yeah, it is. It is. And let me know what yours is. Let me know where you might disagree with me. AJ, good evening. Welcome to the program. Okay, I'm about to get my evening spanking for the night. The Honorable AJ, if the box brings him up, I'll be interested to hear what AJ. Now, AJ's MAGA. He usually thinks everything I say is wrong, so he's probably one of the most interesting I'm looking forward to talking to tonight. But the box is not bringing him up. So AJ, I'll give you a moment. If you would, AJ, try to drop and go back again, and I'll see if I can bring you up. Bare minimum is being a respectable human being with honesty and empathy. I like that. Denver, I like that. Continuing on. Yeah, I don't know why, AJ. I'm trying to bring you up, AJ. I don't know if you got something going on. So we'll give it a minute. What is that says? Brad, I don't know, stop engaging this fool. You don't owe him nothing. Has searching for validation in someone that believes his bullshit. What are you saying there, Sherman? Sherman is telling somebody in the comments, I don't know if it's me or somebody else he's talking about, but he uses phrases like, stop engaging this fool. You don't owe him nothing. He's searching for validation in someone to believe his bullshit. I don't know. It's talking about me? Let me go back to the box. I don't know. Don't know. Can't speak on it. Does that say alibi? AJ dropped, did not come back. Alibi, good evening.
Hello, how you doing?
All right, doing all right. Just hanging around like Jesse Jackson at a Klan meeting. So, what do you think? What am I getting wrong?
I'm not saying that you're wrong. So far, I would agree with most of what you said. I went into a live earlier that was conservative, MAGA, and I kind of limped away. I found out you can't have a conversation because people just keep talking.
Yeah.
They just monologue right over you. When you bring up a valid point and it hits a button in them, they just won't stop talking. You know, and I don't get that. I don't see how you're ever going to have a reasonable conversation if you're just talking over people.
Yeah, and I agree. To sharpen my own personal chops up, I often go into conservatives and predominantly MAGA forums myself. And you're right, it is a scream fest and things like that. And that's one reason why I only take one caller at a time so we can have a civilized conversation. You can get your point across. I can hear it. perhaps get a point across to you as well. We can engage in a decent conversation. But most folks on social media, yeah, they got 6 to 8 folks up there, and people are just yelling and talking over each other. And at the end of the day, not a lot gets actually said. So we try to avoid doing that here.
I couldn't even hardly. I waited a half hour to ask a question. Even the other liberals wouldn't let me talk because they're too busy fighting.
Yep.
You know, I would like to ask your opinion about this, and I'm sure you're familiar with it because this is the point that I brought up.
Okay.
There's some quotes that I got from Political, but I cross-checked a few of them. I got sources while I was waiting, but the one that I didn't get completely right is where Trump says that the immigrants are poisoning our blood. Okay? I remember this, but when I went to look it up to verify it, it starts off by the clip just saying that they're poisoning our blood. It doesn't use the word immigrants. I know it was in that context.
Yeah. He also called them vermin. I remember the time he did. He also referred to them as vermin and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what they said was, their argument was, well, he was talking about the criminals. Okay. Now, before I could finish my point, everyone jumped in and it just went crazy, and then they started talking and wouldn't let me say anything again. Even if he was talking about the criminals, where does that phrase come from?
Adolf.
Poisoning the blood.
Yeah, it comes from Adolf. Well, first of all, if my interpretation of it is that poisoning the blood could be everything from our culture to our language. Like, okay, I'm tired of having to call a call center and instead of getting somebody that speaks English, I got to press 1 because there's people speaking Spanish, or I walk into a store and the person don't even know how to speak English. He's speaking Spanish behind the counter. Some folks might view that as that you're poisoning the traditional aspects of America. People going down the street waving Mexican flags, even though this is on American soil. When he said poison in the blood, I think it involves all of that. It's more than just the criminals. And I think you can look at the first 5 weeks Trump has been in office, and it's pretty clear he's going, birthright citizenship, that's not criminals, those are babies. So he's clearly going after far more than just the criminals. The criminals are something that the American people can sympathize with. Nobody wants an unknown person to be here committing crimes. So that'll get people to listen to you. But yeah, his aim was far broader than that.
Right. I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying, but that phrase has a history.
Yeah.
All right. When I was a kid, I remember seeing it on the Triple K. Would talk about it, poisoning of the blood.
Yeah.
You know, it's been around, and it has a very specific meaning. You can twist it into what you just said. You can say it's not literal, because that's what he says about everything he says. Well, I didn't mean that. You know what I mean?
Well, even if you're taking it from the 1930s in Germany, a lot of the stuff that I just said about the immigrants coming to this country, he was talking about that with the Jewish people. You're changing the culture of this country, or you're doing this, or you're taking control of the banks, you're taking control of the finance. They were blaming all of the country's problems on the Jewish people, and that's what a lot of folks in this country are doing with the immigrants. They're blaming all of the problems on them.
Absolutely.
So
that's what's going on, but that's nothing new either. You find the culprit to put all the problems on, and there you go. So
yeah, but as I often point out on the show, we have a history of being anti-immigrant. Right now it's the Hispanics. There was a time when it was the Italians, it was the Chinese. We put the Japanese in internment camps. We weren't friendly to the Polish when they came here. We didn't even let the Jews in after the Holocaust because we said they had communism in their mindset. We've been anti-immigrant, and as I always say on the show, I believe the reason America has a history of being against immigrants and putting up resistance is because we know from our own experience what can happen when somebody is friendly and takes people in. We ourselves were the worst immigrants to ever come to this country. All of the stuff we talk about, immigrants going to come to the country and rape and murder, or the immigrants going to come to the country and take over. They're going to come and promote their religion. We did all of that stuff. That's exactly what we did to the natives that were here. All of the stuff we accuse other groups of saying that they're going to come and spread diseases. We did that. So we know it's kind of a takes one to know one mentality. We know what we did when somebody was friendly and let us in. So we're never going to make that mistake and let somebody else in. And we've always had that standpoint.
There is a difference, though, with the exception of like Chinese or Asian people. There's something different because Italians, Irish. You're right, but what did they do to get around that? They changed their names, right? Yeah. You can't change your color if you're brown or black.
True. That is right? True. That is true.
So they got around some of that.
Well, you can't change if you're Asian. It's going to stand out as well. I mean, you can.
Well, that's what I said, with the exception of that. But they helped build America. I mean, railroads. Those groups did a lot to build America, but just like with the Italians, they were, they're not obviously all criminals.
No,
they're just
I don't think even. I doubt if even 15% of the immigrants that come across the southern border are criminals. I mean, whereas with Trump, what did he say? They're not sending us their best and brightest. They're sending us their rapists and murderers. I assume some of them are good people. So he makes it sound like the overwhelming majority of immigrants coming to this country are coming to do dirt and harm people. But it's just, I don't believe that.
Let me tell you where I had a problem with him. And you can keep going back with Trump if you want to really research him. But the first most obvious thing was saying that Obama was not born here.
Yeah.
And he told that lie for several years.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he ever apologized for it, but he
cleared it up. He did clear it up. He never apologized for it. In fact, he blamed Hillary Clinton for being the one that started it. And then he said, he was born in the country, but no, he never apologizes for anything.
And he did apologize for one thing. His locker room talk. You remember that? He apologized.
Yeah, okay. All right, you got one, yeah.
One thing. But before that, he would be on David Letterman, and he's not smart enough to know that David Letterman was making fun of him the whole time. That's a problem.
What
I mean?
What did David Letterman say about him?
You need to look up some old David Letterman Trump shows. David Letterman was talking over his head to the point Trump didn't even know he was mocking him.
Wow.
Yeah. So Trump's smart when it comes to marketing. Not very smart when it comes to everything else, really, to me. Sorry, just not. And then the one that you just brought up when he came down the golden escalator, that's the one that really freaked me out. I'm like, they got rid of Howard Dean for...
Yeah,
for yelling. He comes down I'm not kidding you, this was my reaction to what he said, and I remember it very well because my mother's named Narita, okay? When he came down the escalator and he said, I'm going to use TikTok language, that they're sending us dealers, they're sending us rapists, murderers, and I guess there are a few good people.
Right.
Okay. Now take all that phraseology and flip it, and then I would agree with it. Most of them are good people.
Yeah.
Some of them are those other things, right? Just like if I go outside, I live in a pretty populated area, and I throw a rock, before it hits the ground, it's going to cross over several people with criminal histories. Okay? So, yeah, there's always going to be bad people in any population. But think about it. If you're an immigrant, what would you do? If you were fleeing violence, or if you had no opportunity to take care of your family and you came to America.
But they are going to argue, like certainly under the Biden administration, a lot of these folks that came here to seek asylum, they would not have met the criteria. I don't think all of them were escaping poverty, which is not that's not a legitimate reason to come to America. But in terms of trying to escape violence, most of them probably were not. It was just Biden made it easy to come here.
Well, he did, because that's how the pendulum swings. When people are being treated cruelly, it swings too much the other way sometimes. Because there was a buildup of people at the border because Trump was denying them access completely because of COVID, right? Mm-hmm. He had made an executive order, an emergency situation where people could come in. So there was a buildup of all these people. And you're right. They're not all a legitimate asylum seekers.
Right.
That's absolutely true. And you can't just let everyone in. I get it. But that's not really a Republican-Democrat thing. The Democrats were cruel to immigrants that, were in that situation, just trying to come to a place to make more money.
You think the Democrats are cruel?
Oh, they were many times, yes.
How far back are you going?
Well, let's go to Clinton, okay?
Okay. All right.
Bill.
Different Democrat party, but okay, I get it now. That's different. I mean, the Democrats back then were anti-LGBT and all of that. I mean, that's 30 years ago. I mean, different party though.
Well, put it this way. This is the news report I heard. They were allowing more people to come through parts of Arizona where people would die in the desert trying to get here. They made that the weakest point. That's kind of cruel. Okay. But none of them were like, yeah, come on in, everybody, no matter what. What did they call Obama? The deporter-in-chief.
Deporter-in-chief, yeah.
Deported more.
I think the difference, though, because Trump is only securing the border, many would say, but I think the difference, though, is Trump brags about things that you probably should, like you mentioned, forcing people to come through the desert where you could get killed. The Democrats would do that, but they wouldn't brag about it. Just like when Obama was deporting folks. Trump brags about things that some might say are inhumane. Like, why are you happy about this? And that's where he gets flack, where the Democrats might get a pass.
Right. He markets that stuff. Yeah, he markets it because he knows that gets people worked up, and it gives them, support.
Well,
because
I gotta say it has worked with his people. He is our president. We'll see what happens. I gotta move it on, Alabama, but he got him in office. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Always. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. I don't know what I just hit here. And by the way, thank you folks for tapping the screen, both liberals and conservatives. You just restored some machinery. I was thinking about you did. Well, okay. You guys are talking in the comments. Nevertheless, I don't know. David, okay. I want to make sure I'm reading the right shit here. Going back to the box real quick. Don't know what I hit here because I was looking at a super chat I did want to respond to. So bear with me for a minute while I figure out what the hell's going on. And with okay, hang on a second. I'll go to Instagram and I'll bring up Sherbert if I can. Don't know what just happened there. Wait a minute, hold on. Okay, I'm going to start this over, it looks like. I don't know what happened on YouTube.